going on? Apparently Z is just so addicted to going live now that we just had to come back and talk about free agency. I don't know.
I'm going to strap a GoPro on and stay live my entire life. Just stream my whole life. I'm in about 8 different places total, and 3 of them are bars. So figured may as well just keep it going.
How do you think some of the regulars over at The Last Drop would feel about that?
Look at that fucking camera on my face, dude.
Oh, all right. We will be doing a full NHL wide, more or less, at least the teams we want to talk about, breakdown of this year's free agency frenzy, aka, if you ask Isha, Canada Day, because that's apparently a real thing. But first, we're actually going to lead off here doing a quick recording for this week's episode of Fellowship of the Rink. Kind of doing a quick recap for anyone on here or, of course, subscribed to the podcast that has not gotten the full rundown on the magic that Judd Brackett was able to orchestrate on Friday and Saturday with this year's NHL draft. So, Z, I'm just going to kick right into it here. Actually, I should put on the right logo.
You're just going draft here?
Oh, hang on. I got to do an intro and everything.
I was going to say.
Welcome back for another installment of Fellowship of the Rink, episode 20. Finally rounding it out. We've gotten 20 episodes deep here. And joining me today in Joe's stead, who is still on much, much deserved paternity leave right now, is draft guru, sicko that brings you Judd'z Budz every week somehow. And maybe for the first time in a while, happy Boston Bruins fan, Spoke Z. What's going on, buddy?
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
We're going to just jump right into it then. We don't even need to waste much time. You have probably been over-inundated with the NHL draft coverage over the weekend. Too early to say, but is this perhaps Judd Brackett's best body of work since joining the Minnesota Wild?
I would say since he got here, specifically the first 3 picks, so I mean, really rounds 1 through 4, I guess. I think this is the most bang for your buck the Wild have got in the drafts, considering where they were drafting. I mean, in years past, we've seen them have like 2 firsts, 2 seconds,
sure,
like multiple picks in like some of these rounds. He has 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and then 2 in the fourth. I think that's how it worked out.
Yeah.
And I would say the first 3 players that they took, I mean, at one point, all of them were projected as top 20 picks. Obviously, injuries, other things happened with both like Ritchie, Kivi Haru. And I mean, I think everyone knew Kivi Haru was going to fall out of the first round, most likely. I don't think anyone really had him going 4th round, which is crazy, especially him, apparently. That soundbite, like,
yeah.
If I could somehow get a soundbite tattooed on my chest, I would get that. I don't know how I would do that.
That'd be incredible.
I would. But I would say, yeah, the 3 names that he took in rounds 1 through 4, like it would be very difficult to find like 3 players where you get more upside between the 3 of them, like where they were picking. So, I mean, again, very early, and especially the case with Kivi Haru, there's a range of outcomes with a kid like him, considering how this past year or 2 has gone for him. But in terms of like their upside and potential, I would probably say, yeah, this is right at the top of the list.
All right, so let's go with the first guy then, the guy that none of us even thought we had a chance to get. I mean, maybe you think differently, but did you think there was any chance Zeev Buium was falling outside of the top 10?
No, honestly, even so, I mean, the first big like shock pick was Beckett Seneke going 3rd, which we started getting whispers. It was like, he's probably going top 6. Then it was top 5. Then there was a lot of chatter, like, watch out for Anaheim here at 3. And he goes, but even then, like, you know, he goes 3rd. There are a couple other surprises in the top 10. I still would have never guessed. Certainly the Wild be able to get him at 12 or 13, but like I definitely didn't expect him to go outside of the top 10. And I mean, in the moment, I was kind of confused. It's like, why are they doing this to trade up one spot? And then it kind of hit me, clearly multiple teams that probably wanted to jump in front of Minnesota to get Zeev Buium were probably calling Philly. And even then, you'd think they'd be able to mount a better offer than what Minnesota offered, or successfully, I guess, pulled off of the trade. But there was no way, like, in my head that he was falling outside. I mean, really, like, top 8. Because, I mean, when you look at the possible upside, and even like we know the upside in terms of his offense, but like the defensive game, his fallback or his B game is still like top 4 upside for sure. So I mean, that's an absolute home run of a pick, especially when they're picking at 13. They only have to move up one spot and they still get him. When you look at some of the names that went in front of them, I would never have had them ahead of Zeev Buium. I mean, even a guy like Prominent at one point mocked him 3rd or 4th. So that kind of tells you, like, I think everybody in the league was probably surprised that he fell outside the top 10.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you've got a California boy that comes out and says he likes Minnesota lakes more than the ocean shoreline.
Could he have said anything better? Could he have endeared himself anymore?
I mean, he could have said what Kivi Haru said, but that's reserved for.
He went geographical. That was a geographical pull from Zeev Buium. That is unbelievable.
And quick listener question, because we are recording this live, from Ace Beaupre. What is his upside in your mind? He's seen a lot of people debating the topic. Like, is this a guy long-term for the Wild that you see being like number 1 defenseman on your team, power play quarterback, or does he fit more into a 2-3 type slot if things go the right way?
Well, realistically, when you map out what the Wild have right now, you've already got Brock Faber, who at this point, it's interesting because you don't necessarily, well, first of all, I guess actually, like, I don't think anyone really would have guessed that he was going to put up like half a point per game in Brock Faber this year and like actually show promise in the power play. But like realistically, looking forward, Brock Faber is more than capable of being your number 1 defenseman. I mean, he logged over 5 games this year with 30 minutes time on ice, which is unbelievable as a like first year in the league, fresh out of college, and like was clearly their best defenseman the entire season. So I think you've got your number 1 right there. But I think Zeev Buium just goes so well with him. Just, Brock Faber, yes, he put up 40 points this year. Again, that wasn't really expected. That's not like really his profile. But, Brock Faber is able to do all of the defensive heavy lifting plus chip in like complementary offense. Zeev Buium can give you good defense and give you like, in terms of your back end, like primary offense. And he's shown that he can power play a quarterback. I say that every time. Am I allowed to swear on Fellowship of the Rink? Is that fine? Yeah. I don't know. The rules?
Yeah, it works.
I do that every time, though. But he showed that he could I almost just did it again. Quarterback and power play. So I would say, like, in Minnesota's system, top pair. And realistically, probably it would be a long shot for him to be, like, I would say a true number 1, like, down. But in terms of what Minnesota has, I think you've just locked up your like first pair on D as soon as they both are signed long term or whatever. Like you've got your like for a decade plus.
That's awesome.
The way they like their skating ability too. Those are 2 guys that are going to be able to play for a long time, and like they are unbelievable.
A lot of people are trying to compare him immediately to Faber too, which like again understandable. Both playing college hockey, dominant at that level. We know he's going back for 1 more year at Denver. There's a lot of fans that think after 1 year he's coming in and he's going the Brock Faber path. He goes to the NHL, doesn't look back. Do you think that it makes more sense for Buium to play maybe even his junior year? Does Brock Faber influence him going back and doing that? Does he have to season more in the AHL because of his style of game? Like, what's the path for him to the NHL?
Well, I mean, I would be surprised if he went back for a 3rd year, to be honest with you. I mean, already you're looking at a kid who was a number 1 defenseman on a national championship winning team. He put up 50 points in college hockey this year. Like, at this point, there already isn't a whole lot more that he could prove. Like, I actually don't think really there's anything he can prove in college hockey. I do think it's the right move for him to go back. Like, there's no, like, they don't need to rush him into the NHL next year, especially. They made a couple more signings. They made some. They love that 4-year. We'll talk about that later. But I would be surprised if he went back for a 3rd year. I do think it's going to ultimately come down to him playing out, a sophomore season, and then we'll see what happens from there. Again, like you never really know the defenseman. I think everyone had an idea that Brock Faber might be ready coming in. He showed that he was ready at the playoffs, and then if you remember, like the conversations at the start of the season, it was like, let's see, like he's going to hit some rough patches. He might need a game off here or there, maybe like. He'll end up in Iowa at some point, just if the NHL is too much once they get into the full swing of things and a full actual season. That didn't happen. But who knows? Like, it could happen with Zeev. Like, it doesn't. That's fine, too. Like, these are, like, the defensemen usually, like, the rule of thumb is, like, you don't really know what you have until it's, like, 200 games in. Again, Faber, clearly, I think everyone's on the same page now that he did not require that many. But, I mean, they're still different players. I mean, like, Zeev gives you good defense. I think he's a solid defender. He kills plays, really good in transition. He's mobile. And in zone, he's fine. He's more than able to play physical and everything. But I mean, the offense is really what jumps off the page at you. So they still profile differently, while complementing each other extremely well, I think. So like he could still sign after a sophomore year and then end up like needing some time at Iowa still to do some more like refinement or whatever, but that's fine too. Like, it's not a big deal. Because I mean, even if he was ready and you threw him right in there, like just expecting that him and Faber can be your top pair D at like 22 and 20 years old, that's insane. So, but yeah, I would be surprised if he went back for a 3rd year though. I don't really. That's risky. That feels like. Let's be honest with you. It's usually 2, you're fine. The 3rd year is like, better lock him up immediately after that.
Well, that's also usually because they're drafted before they even start playing college hockey, and he's already got 1 year burned. But
right.
Fair. Understood. All right, then we got to go to the 2nd round pick. The Wild got him at 45th overall. He was number 31 on your big board, and a guy that you were kind of like after we had accepted that Liam Greentree wasn't the option. Like Ryder Ritchie was kind of a guy you were hoping the Bruins might have picked up in that spot at 25 too. What are the Wild getting here in this? Has there been a bad 2nd round pick yet for Judd? I don't know, but no. What do we got here?
Yeah, I mean, so Ryder Ritchie, he, in terms of like this draft class, I mean, we've talked about how it's the draft class of players, all the tools in the world. He's probably a top 10 player in terms of just like his skill level and how smooth he plays. He plays a really strong, like give and go game. He plays at speed, in motion. He's got a ridiculous shot, but he also just can finish. Again, like the skill, he's able to walk defensemen. The transition game is just so good. So many of his highlights are him just picking the puck up, at center ice, and like just the change of speed, like the footwork, it's excellent. The defensive games is a work in progress. There's still enough there that he should project to be at least serviceable at both ends of the ice. He probably would have gone like around the 20s if he hadn't got hurt this year, and Prince Albert was in a little bit of a better spot. But there were a lot of nights when he was healthy that he was just carrying that team. You'll see people say that he didn't like necessarily take a big step this year. Part of that is he was WHL Rookie of the Year last year, like had a monster season for Prince Albert, a very good Prince Albert team. And there were a lot of nights this year that he was on his own. Again, the injury didn't help him either, but the upside is clearly top 6 sniper. I mean, you got like your right shot, Adam Beckman, probably like in their draft year, like a little bit higher of ceiling. Beckman got taken 3rd round and then explode the WHL with Spokane the next season. Ritchie's shown that he can be like, he was already profiling as a top 6 potential. Again, sniper is also dual threat with his playmaking. Very flashy player, very fun to watch. So I love the pick at 45. And realistically, given the injury, like that was probably, I think more, there were probably plenty of teams, or I know people definitely had him late first, but the fact that he sit there at 45, I'm sure they're thrilled with that pick too. Another guy that you could let him take his time too and keep developing in junior hockey.
And then the Wild did not have a 3rd round pick this year, but it didn't matter because by some divine miracle in the 4th round, Aaron Kivi Haru still hanging around. And I know you already mentioned you want to get the soundbite tattooed on your body somehow, but this guy, not only does he have the charisma, he's going to be a great personality for all the media members to cover. Like, this is not a 4th-round talent.
No, this is a first-round talent, absolutely. The thing with him, the big question, even when he was healthy, is the size thing and the fact that he's, physically he's not super imposing. And he's, I think, 5'8", 5'9". And his big calling card is his offense. He had a bit of a lull at the end of last season and coming in this year, switched teams, only played a handful of games before he got hurt. But, like, one of the smartest defensemen available in this draft. Again, like, he was a draft -2 at the Holinka a couple of years ago, with the top 5 player there. Like, he's shown that he can be just as good, if not better, than like his peers, and then a couple age groups above that too. But again, like how smart he is, like the skating's gonna be a bit of it might hinder him a little bit. Like he's not the fastest guy in the world, but like he does have really, really solid lateral mobility. He's very agile. It's just the straight line speed might be a little bit of a problem. But again, he is so smart that he usually positions himself really well to like just kind of kill plays before they develop. But in terms of the offensive skill set, this is like he's shown like power play 1 quarterback ability. It's going to be a long road for him to get there. He's got to stay healthy and let him keep playing pro in Finland. I mean, there's definitely a range of outcomes for him too, but the upsides is undeniable. Like you're looking at a potential top 4 defenseman, really good, like probably right over half point per game, probably if he hits. But I mean, in the 4th round, it's a no-brainer. I mean, realistically, probably shouldn't have made it out of like the 2nd round. Again, like there's going to be plenty of risk associated with that like profile of player already, plus the injury and how much time he missed. And when he came back, he still didn't look as good as we know he can be. So, I mean, he's clearly extra motivated now too. He already had that charisma about him, and like he was able to motivate himself before. But even now, like you could tell he's very insulted that he went in the 4th round. I mean, that video is so funny because like he grabbed Billy Garrett and pulled him in, and then I love that Billy was mic'd up because he just goes, oh,
we know.
I was dying laughing.
Well, and him going to the table and telling him, he's like, yeah, you know what this kid told me?
He's like, did you hear that?
I like how he added the F-bomb too.
Yeah, he did like say it. He was like, hey, those that make a first impression.
Yep.
God, I love that. Dude, like, hell yeah, dude, that was awesome. So I mean, I can't not believe that he was sitting there in the 4th round.
Well, dude, I was a big fan of him when you and I were talking about him just about a year ago last summer, right? And that profile, he is just Kalen Addison on steroids. And I am so here for it. He is one of my new Wild sons. I can't wait to see. It's going to be a minute. He's going to have to figure things out, but I'm going to be following him very closely. How much of a concern is the injury long term? Is it more just a setback in his development, or is it something that might be a long-term problem?
I mean, it was like a knee injury in practice, so you're always going to worry about a knee. But at the same time, like, since he's come back, there hasn't been any, like, I think it was honestly just a speed bump in the development.
Okay.
In the middle or at the beginning of a year that wasn't really off to the greatest start in the first place. Again, a big part of that was the fact that he had just switched teams. So, like, he was just getting acclimated. Then he gets that injury in practice, misses the World Junior, like, and pretty much misses his entire year, comes back, I think, like, either right before or at the U18s, which is like a pretty tough competition to just jump into, especially when the entire team Finland no one really showed up consistently every game for them a year. But I mean, you still saw flashes again, like he put up a couple points in the power play there. Like the fact that he looked not remotely close to the Aaron Kivi Haru that we've seen in the past, and I think he still put up like 3 or 4 points in 5 games, still speaks to how much talent there is in there. So I would say the injury probably, it seems like it's going to be more of a speed bump. He clearly isn't concerned about it, so shit happens. But I think he'll be fine.
So then the other 4th rounder we have here, which I admitted to you live when we were covering it as unfolded, Sebastian Suini. I'm not overly familiar with this guy. What do the listeners and the fans need to know about this player?
Yeah, I would say this is a swing on the size and mobility. The big question with him is going to be the hockey sense. Like he'll skate himself into trouble. bad decisions in his own end, which kind of kept him off of like the Holinka roster last year and then off the U18 roster at the World Championships. There are plenty of people that said he probably should have, including his own teammates. Like, how the fuck isn't this kid on the U18s? But I mean, you're looking at a 6'2" right shot defenseman. Again, incredibly smooth skater, helps him a lot in transition. And again, like the breakout play is good, solid enough when he kind of just like stays put in the defensive zone. Again, like he's susceptible to like the odd like bad read, get himself out of position. So I think he's pretty raw, but he's played a ton of pro hockey already, which is a big plus. The offensive upside probably isn't very high at all. Again, part of that is like that IQ, but like he does have a sneaky, quick, hard, and accurate release. I went back and watched that annoying amount of his shifts after the draft on Sunday. And I mean, you see the flashes of the upside there, but again, it's not a guy that's you're going to rely on for offense whatsoever. It's going to be like a long path for him to get to the NHL, and it's still going to be up in the air if he ever gets to a full-time NHL role. But you're taking a swing there on the transition game, and like a guy at that size, a right shot who skates that well, because he is one of the better skating defensemen in the draft, just so smooth. And again, he's able to use his feet in transition and be effective that way. He's just going to have to rein it in a little bit. But again, he's played a lot of pro hockey already in Finland, got a couple of games in Liga. So we'll see how the next year or two goes for him over there.
Okay. And for the correction police out there, he was actually one of our 2 5th-round picks, first of 2.
Good
Second was a goaltender, Chase Woodsky, out of Red Deer in the WHL. And I know Isha always gets pretty excited. He is a native player from Canada, so growing that branch into professional hockey. And he was pretty jacked up about it, and like he knows how important it is that he's kind of leading for that group of people. But I know you're not as big on the goalie coverage. What do you know? What can you share about Chase Woodsky?
Yeah, and I asked some people who are well versed in goaltending, because I'm the very baseline knowledge, and the one thing that kept coming back is just how mobile he is in the crease, especially when he's down the butterfly. And actually, it was funny, like the description of his style. It's like it's not going to be overly flashy, but he's very smart. He generally ends up like a lot of his saves come because he reads where the play is going and he gets there first and he swallows pucks. So it's like, wow, that sounds a lot like Jesper Wallstedt. It's like, yeah, it's pretty much the mold that he's going for. He's probably a little bit more mobile and he's apparently extremely athletic. So he's not big, he's not small. He's like, again, like similar size to a Wallstedt as far as goalies go, not big or small. But I guess, again, everyone that I talk to likes the upside just in terms of how mobile he is in his crease. And how well he reads the play. And again, like he's not overly flashy because he's not overly aggressive. He tends to be in the right place and swallow pucks. And his rebound control is real good. Again, really solid numbers for him in the playoffs in WHL for Red Deer. So, we'll see what the deal is with him. But I mean, they chose not to offer or give the qualifying offer to Hunter Jones. So there's definitely a big need there. They've went out and made a couple other goaltending signings this year. So, always good to at least get another one. Again, there's a lot of teams have the rule of thumb. They try to get a goalie every draft. Clearly the Wild don't necessarily believe in that all the way, but they go out and they get one. I guess that, again, like there's legit upside, and a lot of people who follow or at least scout goaltenders more regularly like the upside with him. So, you'll take a swing on a goaltender there.
Love that. And then the final pick, 6th round, very different breed from the players selected thus far. We've got Stevie Leskovar, defenseman, big old boy, 6'3", 207, out of Mississauga in the OHL.
First of all, sneaky all-name team, kind of like Stevie Leskovar.
Yeah,
doesn't that kind of sound like just like greasy?
What? Just
and
like
that's
just straight Steve Janowski.
Yeah. No. So again, I think he's a double overager. I think he's 21 already. Ultra violent. Like he spends most of his time crushing guys. Not afraid to drop the a lot of his time in the box to the OHL. And I was talking to someone else about it. I was like, when he chooses to play hockey, he's actually got like really nice like hands. He's got good skill. He makes a good breakout. Like there is a player in there. It's just he spends so much of his time just absolutely crushing guys. And he is, again, he's a bottom pair, like no nonsense defensive defenseman that, again, like he does flash some good skill and he can play with the puck. So it's not like that he's just out there specifically to intimidate and be scary, but he does do that more often than not. Again, he's big, he's ultra violent, but apparently when he wants to, he actually can move pucks well. He's got good hands. But I mean, I don't think by any means you're looking at him as it's not likely that he gets to be a full-time NHL guy, but there's enough there that, like, you know, he's got a good like base layer in terms of like the size of skill. He's able to move pretty well. He's a decent enough skater, but he is fucking mean and very violent. So it's a fun pick. I went back. I just like, if you just like YouTube, it's like Stevie Lescovar versus blank. And the first three, like the thumbnails are like the other guy on the ice, like covering their face. It's like, oh no. Like, oh, no. What happened? So a fun pick, if nothing else.
You got to have diversity in your pool, right?
They went all over the place with this draft. So yeah.
Love it. That's what we've got then for the NHL draft. And again, anyone that wants to be prepped well in advance for next year's NHL draft, probably a couple of weeks from now, Z, we'll be dropping our first iteration of the way too early rankings for the 2025 class. You can check out all of our stuff, whether it's on the YouTube channel, dropping clips, doing live streams for now every Wednesday. That might change next year, depending on the Wild schedule, because that's pretty much the only reason we picked Wednesdays, because there's a black hole in the Wild calendar. But also on podcast, Judd'z Budz drops every Friday, and on the Sota Pod feed, but will have its own feed coming up here in August. So subscribe to either, check them both out. Z, let's talk. I know later in this stream, we're going to be talking all NHL free agency, and everyone, you can check out Judd'z Budz this week if you want to hear more. But let's talk for the Minnesota Wild trades and free agent market. You know better than most. One Jacob Lauko, who we just received back from the Bruins with Aaron Kivi Haru, technically, I guess, in the trade for Lou Nanny's grandson. What do we need to know about Lauko?
Yeah, so same thing we were talking about during the live stream. The thing with Lauko is he is like instant fan favorite, phenomenal personality, and his play style is just nonstop motor, piss and vinegar, hit everything that moves, get on the forecheck hard. But he does have sneaky like skill. He's got a good shot. I mean, like the game this year, game 4, I believe it was, against the Panthers, they had absolutely nothing. They're down 4-0. He makes a bunch of really nice plays, gets good scoring chances, takes a penalty that absolutely is not a penalty, immediately exits the box, snipes, they get going and get right back in the game in the third period. But like in terms of like a momentum shift, you throw him over the boards, he's gonna do something. I mean, like the Wild fans, he fought both Deweys this year. He is like, it sucks when they drafted him. He did have like middle six upside in terms of like he had some offense in there. Again, you love the energy, the nonstop motor, and the compete factor. He had a really like 2 or 3 really bad lower body injuries that kind of like just completely derailed his development. But like he still found a way to get himself back into the NHL. Just what like the opportunity really wasn't there for him with the Bruins. So when you look at like what Billy Guerin is trying to build, like Jacob Lauko in terms of like a bottom 6 guy that can play, like that is exactly who you'd imagine Billy Guerin targets. And the thing with him, like, last year you had Pat Maroon down there on the fourth line a lot, and yeah, he's big, physical, mean. The thing with Lauko is he flies. He was probably top 3 fastest skater of the Bruins last year. So when he gets on the forecheck, he is scary. Like it's like he crushes guys. But again, like anytime there's like a dip in momentum and you need just something, you just need a little bit of a boost, he's going to do something. He's going to get the crowd going. So I think if people at least just like give him a chance to take to him, like he's going to be a big favorite. Again, very funny personality. He's very interactive on like social media with fans. Like he'll just go back and forth with you. Loves to tweet about Lord of the Rings. Loves grapes. Fun fact.
He needs to come on. All right.
Yeah, I know.
Next target.
He would come on. He is very funny. Like he is just a goofy.
All right, noted. I'll tell Joe he is the next guy we need to grab. That's perfect.
He's a great guy. But again, I think he fits what they want, especially when you factor they lost both Duhaime and Dewar last year. The fourth line, he kind of profiles like a similar to a Duhaime type. Maybe not as like heavy duty tough, but like he can go.
All right, love that. Another guy added to bolster the bottom six from free agency. We've got Yakov Trenin. What do the people need to know?
4 years, baby. 4-year contract. Line them up. Everyone gets them. I actually, to be honest with you, I like this signing a lot. I mean, first thing that jumps off the page is he is a top penalty killer. And I mean, he's played for Heinz before. Both when he was playing for Heinz, he put up some decent goals too. I think he can play. Again, he's a good skater as well. He's got good size. He's mean. He's fought Chara twice. First time went really well for him. Second time, not so good for him. So he's tough. He'll fight anybody. But again, super physical, very solid defensively, really, really good penalty killer. And I think there is a little bit more offense in there to be had. So I actually like the signing a lot. I mean, at this point, you're always kind of wary of giving anyone term, but the dollars aren't huge, and he fills a big friggin' hole in your lineup in terms of like the penalty killing aspect of the defensive game as a forward. So, and he managed to stay healthy, which is something that not many players in the Wild can say over the last few years. So I like the signing. Again, like you can debate if you like giving any like chunk of change to like a middle six guy. Again, you weren't really going to go out and find. They were never going to go out and make a big money signing, so it's fine. But I like it. I mean, I like the addition anyways. So I don't think it's bad at all.
The disrespect being thrown at Travis Boyd, who we're talking about next. He's not a big splash for you?
So I was telling you before this, I'm again, full transparency. I didn't really pay attention to the Arizona Coyotes, RIPNPs. Wow. That's the comment. My God. Okay. But I was looking at the last 2 years, the 2 years before this with Arizona, he put up 35 and 34 points with like 17 and like 15 goal seasons. It was a two-way contract, correct?
It is a two-way, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he only played 16 games a season, so there must have been an injury. Again, I didn't pay attention to the Coyotes this year that much.
Is he just this year's Lethierry?
Yeah, I would guess. But I mean, he's a decent enough player, like his last few stops anyway. So, but I mean, again, depth, cheap, and he's played a couple hundred games in NHL, so it never hurts. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Then we have the extension. We have podcast favorite, by the way. We love Jake Middleton. But Z, I know it's too funny for you, and I got to throw this comment up from Horror Docs earlier that plays right into it. So when is Judd getting a 4x4, even though he isn't a player? And Ace Beaupre chimes in, also give him an NMC.
It is unbelievable. The 4-year term, they are just like, everybody's getting one. If we could give out 4-year ELCs, we absolutely would. And it's so close to a 4x4. Like, it's so close. Like, it's unbelievable. They just love these contracts. I don't know. I'm mixed on it. I think Jake Middleton's awesome. If he can only play at an elite level with like Spurgeon, that's a problem. And I mean, the good thing is it wasn't more than 4 years, and he is only, I forgot that I feel like he's like 30. He's like 28 years old.
28, yeah.
So it'll run up, I guess, when he's, the thing was, I don't think they needed to do this a year early.
That's what's weird.
But
again, just like they didn't need to do with the other 3 contracts that they signed in September, a year in advance of them becoming free agents. So, like, I don't know.
Right. It's like you didn't. So then you look at it, you're like, all right, like, so far we're not pumped on those, and we just went and did it again. I don't know. I can go both ways on it because we've seen Middleton be awesome.
Paradox here, like perfect.
Right. Yeah.
Here, like, these contracts look fine by themselves, but all of them stacking up, it's problematic. Like, I'm not going to point and say like which one should be revoked. It's just like doing all of them is what is really the problem. As we talk about, like, how are guys like Ogren and Huznadinov going to get any ice time? Like, what are we boxing out Zeev Buium before he even gets here? Like, what? It just feels weird that we're so aggressive on signing these very, very player-friendly deals. Like, I'm sorry, if they go to market, these guys are not breaking the bank and getting notedly more than that. Especially, like, talk about if someone else is going to offer them $500,000 more per season, they're going to stay because they would rather be in Minnesota. They've made that clear. So it's just weird that they're so aggressive on these signings and stacking all of them together.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I look at it, though, the one thing I will say is, like, the concern about, like, blocking out the young players. I have more concern about, like, the forwards in that regard. You know, you look at, like, their decor right now. You've got, in terms of, like, long term, you still have Brodin and Spurgeon locked up. Now you've got Middleton locked up for 4 more years after this one. I mean, like, Bogosian's here for this year and next year. Merrill's done after this year. And then you'll see what can happen with, like, Chisholm. And I mean, Faber, we know, is here. Keep him here forever. So
the top 4 is here for the next 5 years.
Right. So I still have, I would say, more concern about, like, the forwards blocking out those kids. And especially, like, there's probably more guys that are ready probably, like, right now to play next year that it's just not going to be a very solid path. And again, like, you totally can understand, like, yeah, they still need to develop, but it's like, well, some of these guys aren't necessarily, they might not really be in, like, development friendly environments already, or they've probably done about what you would expect them to. And again, like, we've said this before, the thing with, like, the buyout years, this is the last year, like, the big money. Now you've kind of, like, thrown a bunch of that out already. And again, in these years where they couldn't make big money moves, with some of the prospects that they've had either ready or close to somewhat ready, would have been a pretty good time to give them a run to see what they've got. When again, like, I don't, like, the most optimistic Wild fan can't sit here and say at any point in the buyout years, like the 13, 14, $15 million buyout years, that they were cup contenders. Like, they've still done quite well considering how hamstrung they were, but at no point where you should, like, yeah, this is a cup team. They're going to go out. They're going to make big signings, big trades, blah, 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 blah.
Bigger problem is this year, people were thinking playoffs. We'll get into it. Again, you guys can tune in to the other episode on the Sota Pod this week, or you can stay on if you're on the live stream. The Central got a lot tougher. We'll just leave it at that. Not great.
Yeah. But that's the thing with these guys. It's like, at some point, like, I figured it'd be a good time to, like, give some of the young guys, like the young prospects who are seemingly they could be ready. Let's see what you got. Like, they've just continuously blocked them out. And I mean, like, I'm sorry. Yes, they have to prove that they're ready. Like, how the hell are they supposed to do that? That's the thing I always come back to. Everyone's like, oh, they have to earn it. I'm like, how the hell would you like them to do that?
Yeah.
Well, he had one game that he was called up for. He got scratched and he ate popcorn on the 9th floor the whole time, but, like, he didn't show any grit in practice, probably.
And let's compare his stats to the career stats of Marcus Johansson. That's how I want to evaluate this.
I will not stand for JoJo slander. I love that man, and I don't care. He could play. He could put up 0 points. I'll defend him to the end of the earth. I love.
What if I called him Mojo? Then would you defend him?
No, I always defend him. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, I'll defend him extra hard if you pull that nonsense around. I don't want to stand for that tomfoolery around here. All right.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, we can move on then. No interview this week because we're going so deep on some of these wild topics. But do want to tease that once we hit 150 subscribers here for Fellowship of the Rink, which we're not terribly far away from, if we hit that by the weekend, we will be dropping the Riley Heidt interview that we've had banked here for a little bit. So people go and subscribe to Fellowship of the Rink as soon as possible, please. It's awesome. Riley Heidt might be my favorite player in the Wild system now. Guy is an absolute beauty. Z, let's talk about on the ice for him, though, just to tease for everybody. Maybe there's some people that have heard about him but don't really know a whole lot. Like, talk about the player profile here. What can people expect early days of Riley Heidt, and how does he project as an NHL player?
Yeah, I'm still curious. I'm like, I go back and forth on, is he going to be a center? Is he going to be the wing at the NHL level? I still think he needs to get a little bit stronger, but I mean, he's, I think, 6'1". But in terms of like the raw skill, scoring ability, the dual threat, he is like high end. His playmaking is really what jumps off the page again. Like, it's just kind of an added bonus that he's an absolute sniper when he decides to shoot. But like time and time again, the WHL, like, you just cannot get the puck off him. He creates these passing lanes, but he doesn't even need that big of one to just fit it through. He makes everyone on his line better. The upside is no doubt top 6, 70, 80 point guy, maybe even more. I mean, he ripped apart the WHL this year. Again, like, probably played a pretty decent role in Tarek Parasak going 17th overall to Washington this year. But I mean, I think at one point in the season, he went like on a 15-game streak where he was averaging like 3.5 points per game. And added bonus, he gives you really solid two-way play as well. Again, I think he probably needs to still get a little bit stronger, but he's also extremely physical. He's a prick to play against. Like, he is a gamer. And you want to talk about another kid with just like a real good like FU attitude, it's Riley Heidt. Very, very confident guy. But I mean, the upside's through the roof with him. Again, like, certainly could end up playing center at the NHL level. It's definitely a possibility. We'll see. I think a lot of his scoring, it does come from like the wings, but like a lot of that is him just like being able to find these lanes and just like pick apart defenses. So he's certainly capable of getting inside ice and playing in there, and he's not afraid. So that'll help him if he wants to play center at the NHL level. But either way, whether he's wing, whether he's center, you're getting a play driving forward who's capable of producing like serious offense. So the upside's through the roof with him. He's probably right close to the top of, like, if you want to do prospect rankings, he's got to be top 5 in this pool that already has some seriously high end guys. So, we'll see what happens in training camp this year. Again, like, there's not really much spots, but he's supposedly going to get a look. Don't know if it's possible to find a spot for him in the NHL lineup, but the growth this year too. Like, he ripped it apart in his draft year, like torched the WHL in a season where like Connor Bedard and like Jaeger Fergus, who was WHL Player of the Year this year, like they were putting up like 60 goals, 130 points. He still put up 90 as a draft eligible this year, 120 something. So I mean, again, tons and tons of upside there, but plays a very projectable game. So there's two-way ability, but dual threat offensively, he's awesome. So they've got a good one coming for sure.
Heidt, Ogren just sounds like the most fun line in the world.
Oh yeah, we like that around here.
Imagine a starting lineup being called of Heidt, Ogren, Faber, Buium, Wallstedt.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, I still have a potential future line of Ogren, Eriksson, Ek, and Boldy in my head. Like,
that also sounds very fun. Yeah.
My God, does that give you, like, that literally checks every box. Like, two-way play, sniper, playmaker, prick in front of the net. Like, that's unbelievable. Like, it's so intriguing in my head. But yeah.
That does sound fun. Now, in lieu of the interview, we do have to oblige our friends at Waggle. We have our Waggle Golf Foursome. Everyone go to getyourwaggleon.com. Throw in promo code SP10 to take 10% off your entire order. Z, dead or alive, hockey player, random guy you ran into on the subway. Don't care who it is. Pick 3 guys you want on the golf course with you for a day.
I thought about this for about 10 minutes. And I tried not to go full hockey, but like the first one off the board, I do think might be Bill Guerin.
Okay.
Imagine having a bad time with Bill Guerin. You can't. Like, I don't think it's possible. By the way, I love that they have him mic'd up the whole time of the draft because he clearly has no interest in anything that's going on and he can't sit still. So half the video is him just fucking with people at other tables, like Shane Doan. Like, it's so funny. So Bill Guerin's got it. I think I've decided that he is definitely on there. God. You'd think that I would have. I will include myself in this one, so I'm not going to make that mistake.
There you go. You and Bill so far. We got 2 more.
So far, me and
it's
Bill
okay.
Guerin.
It's all hockey. That's okay.
Yeah. Maybe I'm going to go full hockey probably. I'm very curious to see what Patrice Bergeron's like when he lets loose because apparently he's actually very, very fun. So I'm going to go Bergeron. I mean, it's just,
I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
Yeah, no, you leave, you instantly have like 10 karma points in your back
number
pocket.
4 of Bruins for me, probably, that I would have expected for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to take the easy route with the Bruins and go like Marchand or Pasternak.
I mean, you could have gone with both goalies just to reunite them one more time.
Yeah,
but it's too late for that.
R.I.P. in peace. God. I don't want to think of someone really random that would. No, I can't. I'm just going to go Jake Middleton. I feel like that'd be very funny. I don't know. It's a really weird foursome of the course. But, I mean, it's like hole 3. Middleton's probably going tarps off. Bill Guerin might, too, honestly.
Just because Middleton does, yep.
Yeah. He's like, all right. And then Bergeron's like, oh, those silly guys. But
who's in your cart?
Imagine, oh, God. I think I would want Bill Guerin and Jake Middleton together in a cart. So I would let them.
I disagree. Wouldn't it be funnier if they're like in opposite carts and they're like screaming at each other across the course?
Yeah, probably.
Like you see, like you're
I hang out with Patrice.
You're with Bill, and all of a sudden, like he's like, "Wait, did Jake just take his shirt off?"
I don't know. I kind of want. Yeah, I kind of want
to. If you just want to be Patrice, you should have said that. Yeah.
Imagine the haul that Bill Guerin probably at the turn when he goes in to get food. Imagine the haul that he comes out with. I bet it would be outrageous. But yeah, I feel like it's a really random 3, but on brand and not random at the same time because I am a Boston guy that does Minnesota Wild stuff. So I guess it's like pretty not that exciting. But I think it would be really goofy. And then I just want good karma and hang out with Patrice. He'd hate it.
I was kind of hoping you'd say you wanted Randy Carlyle and Phil Kessel, but
that'd be good too. That'd be good too.
Oh man! All right.
Tuukka would also be a good one. Tuukka apparently is a maniac.
Tuukka
loves golf.
No. In your cart, you and Bergeron. In the other cart, Tuukka and a random Boston fan.
Yeah. Tuukka does just like walk around Boston.
Oh, jeez.
Like he just like walks it. So with Chara likes to just like stroll around and play with the pigeons. Actually,
right.
Loves the pigeons in Boston. I don't know.
There you go. All right. Well, there you have it. Another great Waggle Golf foursome. Again, everyone, check them out. Get your waggle on .com. Promo code SP10 for 10% off. Look at that. Zeev's even on brand for once. We're both wearing Waggle hats. I'm proud of you.
I thought about it before. I was like, I gotta put it on, dude.
All right. Now we have to go on and take care of our other really good friend here. I literally just got down to like the last drop from my Barrel Theory beer. TV Trays, a West Coast IPA. And we are doing our hot take segment here. Keyboard Warriors. Again, everyone throughout the summer, make sure you're going out and supporting our good friends at Barrel Theory in Tap Room. purchasing their beers from the liquor store. I mean, they have the most beautiful cans, so it's easy to pick them out. And be ready, because next year they will be back in full force with the best beer at the XL Energy Center. Z, we've got 2 hot takes here that I found from the X/Twitter machine. First one, and he literally leads it with hot take. One of your favorite guys here, Kami22. I think he might be communist. I'm not sure what that stands for, but
that's gotta be.
Hot take, just me guessing. Brady Tkachuk has an all-access summer pass to his bro winning the cup and all that comes with it. This is a big year for Ottawa if they want to keep him around. In my opinion, if it's another tough year in nation's capital, he's gone by this time next year. What do you think about Kami22's hot take?
Well, I mean, it's not like totally crazy to think if they don't at least sniff playoffs that he's going to be like, get me the hell out of here. It's never going to happen. Because you know what? Like going into this draft, I kind of looked at like the Ottawa Senators just in general between the pool prospects they have and like what we've all been talking about, how many good young players they have. And I was like, man, it weirdly feels like they still have a ton of holes here. And I don't necessarily see like the path to like success anytime soon. I think that was before, because like obviously Omark helps. Goaltending's been a big problem for them. I like the David Perron signing a lot. Again, like the class of 2-year, $4 million cap hit. Guy that's played forever, can score goals. He's going to give you reliable 25, 30. But that was really all they did in free agency so far on day one. I don't know. Like, it's not crazy to think that he's sitting there. Like, again, his brother literally just won the cup. His brother's been in the playoffs, I think, all but 1 year he's been in the league. And he's just been sitting there hanging out.
No, I disagree. What if he's just addicted to getting hammered watching his brother play hockey?
Then he's perfect. He's in the great spot. He should sign another 8-year deal.
Him and Walt are just like Bender buddies, and they just want to get lit up. And he's like, I'm making a lot of money. I'm having fun playing hockey. And then the postseason, I get to go cheer on my brother and be a drunk idiot. Sounds like a pretty good proposition. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, you didn't ask me what I would do. I'd be like, yeah, this is great. I'm making 8 sheets a year. I play hockey. It's like a part-time job at this point. I have every summer. I'm like a teacher making $8 million a year. I take every summer off.
Yeah.
I don't even come back till October. No, I don't think it's like, I mean, like he's been floated out there in like trade rumors for the past year anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, like it still feel like, I don't know, like I'm not coming into this like, oh yeah, Ottawa, like last year people tried to spark that. I was like, I don't see the same thing everyone else sees, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah. No, fair. All right. Next hot take, second and final for this week. And first I'm going to read the precursor tweet from Nate Thompson and then the follow-up.
Ooh, yeah.
So Nate Thompson, the Tampa Bay Lightning will have this stain on the organization forever. Successful or not, next season, it's still a huge mistake. Lost a captain and one that produces. That's all on the surface, not even mentioning his off-ice impact, which is bigger. Smashville is laughing now. We've got Tim ! At Tim Sim TV, who says in response, they've been here before with St. Louis and LeCavalier. They were right both times. Love Stammer, but that was a bad contract. Z, what say you?
That is a crazy reply. The comparing St. Louis to that is
also don't think they were right getting rid of St. Louis, especially the way it was handled. That was Bush League.
Crazy. It's not the same. That's not the same at all.
Tim, I appreciate your passion, Tim, but you need help. To say that's a bad contract? What, a 4x8?
Yeah, I mean, I could see being concerned about the 4, but he just put up, did he put 40 goals again this year?
Didn't they just give Gensel an 8x9?
They gave him 7.
7x9?
I don't know what the dollar was, but
it was not what I thought. Now I got to look it up because you're making me second guess myself. Jake,
no, I was just thinking it was 7 years. I don't remember the actual money.
7 year, $63 million contract.
Yeah, so the thing was it felt and you look at it too. They had moved Sergachev. Now, I did like that they got back Connor Geekie and that their prospect pool desperately did, but Sergachev, big time guy in the room. Steven Stamkos, the biggest guy in the room. It's and the comments after, that was clearly not a mutual departure here. No, Stamkos, he went on the radio today. And he was just clearly they didn't want me.
Yeah. Which
is crazy. And I mean, they throw money at the Gensel thing. The McDonough, they didn't need to do the McDonough thing either.
Well, no, but hey, I called this a month and a half ago when Wyshynski came on as a guest on this very show, and I said the reason they sent McDonough is because they're going to cuck him and they're going to take Stamkos back, and it's going to be master class by Barry Trotz. And it's worked out swimmingly for them.
But Tampa, I don't know.
They're weird, dude. They're still going for it, I guess, but they got a lot to figure out if they're going to effectively do that. Their blue line is concerning.
Yeah, what else did they do today?
And after sending out 7 first-round picks for Jeannot, they basically gave him up for a cup of coffee. That's a fun one.
And Jergensen's on a 3-year deal.
This is the one that we needed Joe on for. We need Joe's feedback on the Stamkos debacle. I'm sure whatever his first episode back is from paternity leave, he will go off on it. But it's crazy to me. I don't know. The whole thing, the way this played out, I'm not saying that moving away from Stamkos in a vacuum makes no sense. The way this is unfolded, though, and the way they went about it and literally just telling him yeah, dude, we're not interested. It's crazy to me. I don't understand. It's weird.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it goes without saying, I'm sure it was an extremely unpopular move in the room, but when you have guys like Nate Thompson, who played in Tampa, who played with Stamkos for a couple of years, when they're getting vocal about it, he probably is also speaking for the entire locker room because he's still buddies with half the team. So, you're getting pretty much what they're feeling out in the public. It's the Stamkos thing to me is crazy. I can understand somewhat the Sergachev thing. I think that was still bull. But I mean, you bring back JJ Moser, who can play, cap hit small. You bring back Connor Geekie, really fucking good prospect, instantly becomes their number 1 prospect in that pool. Clear out all that money, all that term. But you would think a big part of that would be clearing space to bring back Steven Stamkos. And it's crazy that guy doesn't get that deal. And I don't know, man. It feels weird.
Yep. Agreed.
Shout out Nashville, though.
Sorry, Tim. We don't agree, but we respect your passion. That's all I can really say. All right. That wraps up another fantastic segment of Keyboard Warriors. Again, go check out and support our good friends at Barrel Theory, because next week we will be doing a recording live from their tap room, and it is going to be magnificent. Timmy Johnson, very passionate Minnesota Wild supporter as well. He's going to get his words in as well. So tune in next week. And again, if we get enough subscribers here, that will coincide with the Riley Heidt interview dropping. So please hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys. Now, wrapping it up, we've actually got Michael Russo back on the Minnesota Wild beat. That's right. We've stolen him back from the NHL, and there's actually things for him to write about. All of you, I believe there's still a deal going for $1 a month. Even if there isn't, like at peak, it's what, $3 or $4 a month. If you're that stingy, if you truly can't afford it, then I am sorry. I empathize. I don't think many of you that complain about a subscription to The Athletic can't afford it. You choose not to because you just won't out of principle for some reason. Go check out everything that Russo and Joe Smith are dropping here lately about the draft, about the free agency, and of course, Russo has sounded off lately on the radio. He's certainly got opinions on some of the signings that have happened in both recent days and years. So check them out, support them. And again, appreciate all of you tuning in for another installment here of Fellowship of the Rink. Thank you, Spoke Z, for all of the infinite wisdom on draft prospects and telling Tim that he's wrong about Steven Stamkos. Everyone check out his work again on the Sota Pod YouTube channel and his weekly show, Judd'z Budz, on the Sota Pod podcast feed. Appreciate all of you. We'll see you next week. You stay classy. Stay to hockey. And now we're back here, Z. Let's go. Let's talk NHL wide. What do you want to talk about? Like, there's a lot of insanity that has ensued. Do we need to start just on the happy side of things and talk about your team? Like, are you happy with the Bruins for once?
Yes, I would say, given time to think about it more, I think they got significantly better. They filled a big need at center, and Nikita Zadorov instantly makes your blue line better. I don't think they necessarily needed to go out and give all that money to someone for the blue line. The goddamn internet, I'm losing it. I'm losing my mind. I don't know if it's happening. I don't know if I'm here.
You're here.
I did. I not on my end. It was a disaster.
It got weird, but at least like you didn't leave or threaten to do anything to yourself, which you will not do while we're live. So continue.
I will not do that. But given time, I am now obsessed with Nikita Zadorov. First of all, the sound bites have been absolutely incredible. And apparently him and Lindholm talked about signing for Boston in the middle of the fucking year, which is very funny. They were like, in Butler, this would be a pretty cool place to play if we came here. They also just been following each other around for the last 3 years, which is also very funny to me. But like the comments coming out from Nikita Zadorov, he might be the meanest player in the league next year because he is clearly like just so fired up to be in Boston. And like the first thing he says is like, first of all, like all the other teams, everyone's always called me Big Z. Please never call me that again. I absolutely will not be called Big Z in Boston. There's only one. I am not remotely close to him. He's one of my favorite players of all time. So I was like, let's go.
Does that mean you won't use Zadorov as a temporary profile picture?
No, I will not. I haven't changed it once. I can't now. The one thing I'm going to have to change, which we will talk about in a second, I'm going to probably have to change my banner photo. That really sucks for me. Pretty sad. It's been my favorite picture. It's just like Jake DeBrusk, like 8 years ago, tweeting #LoveTheBoys. Just an all-time tweet from Jake DeBrusk when he was like 19 years old. I'll have to change that probably. But like for the past 4 years, I've been that annoying prick on Twitter, not calling it X ever. Go fuck yourself, Elon. But every time if I'm checking Twitter and I just happen to see that when it was, the Avalanche, the Blackhawks, the Flames or the Canucks, like tweeting a video of Zadorov, like, oh, here's Big Z, I would quote tweet it every time, like, delete this. You delete this right now. There's only one.
I do the same thing for a more iconic player because everyone tries to say Kirill the Thrill, which is blasphemous. Blasphemous until, I mean, it'll still be blasphemous, but as long as Phil Kessel has not officially retired from the NHL, you do not refer to anyone else as the Thrill. That is sacrilege.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Well, people are still going to do it, but just know that you're wrong.
Yeah. But no, I mean, again, like, I think the fact that, I mean, like, giving Lindholm, I think they gave him 7 years. He's going to be 30. Same time, cap's going up. So, I mean, realistically, it's unlikely he sees that full contract out. But they got him for under $8 million at one point when he was going off in Calgary, the year that it was him, Johnny Hockey, and Matty Tkachuk. Like, he was asking for $9.5 million. That would have been actually even at points last year before, like, in the beginning of the year, he was like he wants $9.5 million on an extension. I was like, oh my God, don't do that. But I mean, again, the fact they get him under 8 and he more than fills a role that they desperately need. It also means Matt Wacha doesn't need to be leaned on as like a top 6 center coming back from injury. Like, he looked good last year, given like a pretty generous role. And now they can also push Zacha out to the wing. Like, he looked okay at center when it was like when Bertuzzi got traded to Boston. It was Bertuzzi, Zacha, Pastrnak. That line was outrageous. But like, again, Zacha still can play center if you need him to, but now you can push him to the wing and let him play with Lindholm and Pastrnak. And Lindholm is kind of like the poor man's Bergeron, just in terms of like a style. Gives you really good two-way play, but I think his offensive upside is probably like quite a bit higher, just in terms of his natural offense. So again, fills a big role or big hole in their lineup. Like, they've been needing that center for a long time. They also go out, they draft Dean Letourneau. If he hits, that's a top 6 center for the future. So again, I think now they still have space to get Swayman done, hopefully soon. We'll see what happens. But they also bring in Max Jones. Bottom 6, another big guy, super physical. Like, I hate when people say former, by the way, first round pick. He's like, you don't unbecome a first. Like, it's not like you like he was. Now he's not.
I also love that too, because it's like no one's ever going to be like, oh yeah, Alex Ovechkin, former first round pick,
former first overall pick,
saying this guy used to be good, and now he's not. But we want to remind you that at one point he was.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of rude to call someone a former first round pick, because you're basically insinuating like, yeah, you wouldn't know that they were a first round pick, but they were.
Right. It's just like, who started this? Like, who decided that we needed to go former? Like at one time he was considered a first round pick. No, he was one. But it's interesting too. They also bring in Jordan Osterley for like, they needed like depth on defense too. He's going to be like your 7th D. And you still have Witherspoon, who signed last year. He looked really good when he played, but they give themselves depth. They didn't go overboard in terms of money. And they made their 2 marquee signings early, so that's always good. So overall, I like what they did. I mean, I was nervous about giving big contracts to a guy like Lindholm, a guy like Zadorov, but then again, the money isn't crazy. And again,
Lindholm is very reasonable. And now you got the 2 Lindholms. The brothers are united, the twins.
Yeah.
All right. So in the Atlantic, do you feel like anyone else had, not big, like a lot going on, but like anyone else that you think made enough of a splash to make like a notable difference for their trajectory this year? I think we might have lost him.
Are
you still with us?
This is weird. I can hear everybody.
Hi, you can hear me. You're back.
This is insane.
And might as well just do it. How can we make this about Toronto?
Wonderful. I'm going to leave and come back. This is a joke. I like the joke.
All right, he's leaving and coming back.
I can't even leave. Or let me leave. StreamYard, so I can't leave.
Right, he's leaving and coming back. Dougie, too much Middleton for too long and trade protection. Yeah, we kind of made fun of this earlier when we were recording Fellowship of the Rink, which I should change the logo back here. But yes, it is the classic, hilarious, basically 4x4 with protection that Bill Guerin seems obsessed with. There's got to be some kind of hidden joke in there somewhere. But yeah, not anyone's favorite thing. Oh, Cosgrove, you always give me a couple of laughs. Isha, did the Canadians beat the British in a war for independence too? I'm pretty sure half the Canadians still think they're French, so they didn't beat anybody for independence. It's kind of weird. Another comment. Does he have Ethernet connection? If not, does he have a Wi-Fi extender? I promise you, he has none of those things. There is no chance that Z has either of those things. Let's see. Anything else I missed? Oh, he's back.
I mean, it's
Vendetta asked, do you have Ethernet connection or do you have a Wi-Fi extender?
I don't speak Spanish.
I told him aggressively no.
StreamYard literally.
Oh, it's StreamYard. It's definitely not your internet.
Well, tell me why every other website that I had up open was flying.
Tell me why StreamYard is working for me just fine.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying doesn't. It's just me. It's just me.
No, because you're going to
it's already happening again.
Streaming anything.
It's happening again. This is great.
It's more internet stream, which is what we're doing on StreamYard.
Yep, I'm blaming StreamYard. I don't care what you say. Anyone says. I'm blaming StreamYard beyond anything else. That's what it is. I will say, in terms of the Atlantic, it feels like all the other teams just had weird strategies. Like Toronto just goes out and brings in a bunch of defensemen. In theory, like filling holes, but then also like giving Timothy Liljegren like more than a 2 times raise when he was getting scratched in the playoffs. And they bring in Hakanpää, who's going to be like a 6-7. Like the one thing that keeps happening now that the cap's going to go up incrementally here and like to the max, I guess, next couple of years, is teams are now like pretty comfortable giving guys that are like 33, 34, 35, like pretty long extensions. Like they don't care anymore, apparently, about the term. It feels like that's what happened in a few, like with a few different teams. So that's interesting to me, but like Toronto's going to have to figure out what they're going to do up front. Like, I think that Domi extension was a good piece of business for him. Like, didn't give him crazy term, didn't give him crazy dollars. I think my internet's crashing again, so that's awesome.
No, you're good right now. What did it end up at? What did they give him? Like, say these out loud for everyone that doesn't know.
I think Domi was 4 years, like, just under $4 million.
Okay, so pretty much what he asked for. He wanted a 4x4.
Which he wanted, like,
Bill. He should have just come to Bill.
He got 4 years, 3.75.
Okay.
At one point, apparently, he was asking for like 6.
But it was rumored as like much as like a week or two ago that like he would be happy to stay in Toronto for a 4x4.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of the player that they needed up front, like that guy, the only thing he wants to do is win a cup in Toronto. Like, they really, really needed a guy like that.
Kind of like Tampa, a guy like Stamkos.
Yeah, something like that. But like, I mean, I guess it all comes down to what the hell they're going to do with Marner. Because when you look at even like their lack of success in the playoffs this year, especially, didn't come down to defense. That wasn't the problem. Like the Bruins had a couple games where they went off. because the goaltending, which they kind of fixed, I guess, sort of a little bit. But they couldn't score. They couldn't do anything in the power play. And they haven't really made any changes up front. Like, they're going to have to figure that out. Nick Robertson also wants out. Like, so I think that's been an interesting strategy to me. And then I think I've been saying it on every podcast you and I have done when we talk about the Detroit Red Wings. I've been questioning the Yzer plan for 2 years now. Like, what the hell is going on? They have now 4 goalies. That's what they decided to.
A very interesting cast of goalies too.
Yeah. And like the one thing that really sticks out now that the draft has happened, Gensel signed in Tampa Bay. Why the hell did they need to attach a 2nd-round pick this year for Jake Wallman to leave and just get back nothing? When he was the one defenseman that this year, when he played with Mo Seider looked like Mo Seider again. I have no idea what their strategy is anymore. Like,
it's draft well and then do everything else wrong. It's kind of like so again, everyone just heralds and thinks that Jim Rutherford is like flawless, like everything he does is perfect. In Pittsburgh, if he made a trade, it was a banger of a trade. If he signed someone, 90% hit rate that it was an awful signing. Like, even if you thought it was a good signing, it was going to end up being a bad signing. And Steve Yzerman's kind of got the flip. He appears to do really well in the draft. And then everything else he does, signings and trades, just seems like a huge miss. Like,
yeah.
Look at what he's done with his blue line. Like, there's a lot of guys on that blue line that you and I have laughed about many a time.
I'm still, sometimes I remember it and I start laughing again. I'm just laughing. I'm like, yeah, what the fuck are they doing? Yeah, I like, realistically in the Atlantic, I don't really see, like, I mean, Gensel to Tampa Bay is awesome, obviously, but at the same time, they still did what they did with Stamkos and Sergachev. And I mean, like, the Jurgensen signings is interesting. I don't think you need to give him like a 3-year deal. Like, he's a good bottom 6 guy that I don't know. But the Atlantic, I don't know. Like, Ottawa, again, they bring in Perron. The Amadio signing's interesting, I guess. Like, I think it was 3 years, 2.25. He looked like good in a limited role in Vegas.
What was their return for Chychrun? Because I'm going to be honest, I've only followed like half of what's happened. It's been so much gone on today.
I think they brought back Nick Jensen, who's a real nice player for them, actually.
Solid,
That's a good piece. He's a really, really good right shot D-man. And then a 2nd-round pick, I think.
Okay.
And I mean, realistically, they weren't going to get a crazy big package when it was like, he clearly is not what he's like. It was crazy to me that, like, in his exit interview or like the exit post, I don't know, like his presser or whatever, they were like, you thought, like, how's your time been in Ottawa? Like, are you going to be interested in like re-signing here, or are you me looking to go elsewhere? He's like, yeah, I'm basically looking to like check out anywhere else. I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, if you're Ottawa fan, you're like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, don't say that. That's like when Laine was in Winnipeg. They were like, how do you feel about Winnipeg? I have nothing bad to say about Winnipeg. It's like, bro, say anything else. Just make something up. Like, anything else would have been way better than what just came out of your mouth.
No, it's not even that.
Like,
He's
like, crazy.
It'd be even better if he's just like, I won't say anything bad.
Is this on the record? Yeah, man, this is an organized interview. Like, this is a special. Yeah. This is
No.
no.
He steps up to the mic. He's like, I'd like this off the record. They're like, huh?
The live TV can't, like, you want it, so we're not going to turn that off. It's like, all right, well, yeah, fuck
like,
it.
No,
you know what?
Cameras. I care about the record. Is it off of the record? They're like, sure, Patrick, it's off the record, man. I don't know.
Does he know? Does he know what the record is? Does he know what that means? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, in the Atlantic, there's been some interesting moves,
Buffalo
I guess.
inactive, Montreal inactive, Florida gets the big swing done with Reinhardt, right?
Yeah.
Did they do anything else?
Yeah, they brought in like a bunch of depth pieces.
No, but
did they bring in?
Did they do anything with any of their existing players?
I don't think anything official.
Okay,
off the top of my head. But we were talking like. I thought about this more, and it kind of hit me this morning. The Buffalo Sabres really didn't need to buy out Jeff Skinner at all.
Either that or they've got trade plans in the works. Because, like, look at their blue line. Like, look at their forwards, both active roster and in their prospect pool. There's a lot of redundancies. They're overstacked in certain spots. Like, they've probably got something big cooking. Because, so my buddy, my college roommate, one of my best friends, he is a diehard and literally he dies every year, Buffalo Sabres fan. And he was texting me because he asked me, he's like, yo, I missed most of the draft because he works out in Grand Tetons National Park and like studies glaciers, apparently, like pretty fucking cool job. And he's like, yeah, I was out in the backcountry. I missed a lot of it. Like, what'd you think? I'm like, well, they picked a really good player in the first, but he pretty much like aligns with everything else that they already have in their pool. He's like, yeah, that checks out with what they do every year. And he basically said, if they don't make the playoffs, I'm pretty sure their GM's getting fired this year. So he has to make a desperate move. He's going to make a big swing to try and do something noteworthy to drag this team over the line to at least flirt with playoffs.
How many more years did they have? Was Skinner's deal?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, they just locked themselves into it's only 1.5 this year. Then the next year, it's 4.445. Then the year after that, it's 6.5.
But then it's 2.5, 2.5. His total was 9.
I don't think they needed to do that.
I don't think they needed to. It must have been something.
Not this year.
But maybe it was a combination of like the player wanted out. They also wanted him out and they needed immediate cap relief for something they're working on. I don't know. And did he officially sign with Edmonton?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
1 year, $3 million.
Fuck that. Ugh, I hate that. All right, we'll get to them later. Anything else in the Atlantic? Like we've got, let's see. I mean, we've already talked a little bit about Tampa. If you guys want to hear about Tampa, go to Fellowship of the Rink, which again, as we mentioned before, if we hit 150 subscribers before this weekend, we will be dropping the Riley Heidt interview next week. Everyone's going to want to hear that. I'm telling you, just from that interview, he might be my favorite Wild prospect now. He is a beauty beyond what he already does on the ice so well. So check that out. Subscribe. Thank you all. Red Wings, we talked about. Canadians, nothing noteworthy, or did I miss something?
Well, they just re-upped Slavkovsky to a big monster deal.
Talk more.
So they gave him 8 years, $7.6 million, and that starts after next season. So I mean, again, like if he had a big bounce back. Like again, year one did not go well, mostly because he definitely did not need to be in the NHL. This year, I think he had a real strong second half. If my computer works again, there we go. He put up 50 points this year in 82 games.
That still seems like a big commitment.
I mean, if he hits
again, I understand what they're going for, but like they've got a lot of long-term deals signed for guys that like I think are no shit like NHLers, but it's like, are they going to be the guys that drive shit for you?
They've only got 2 other forwards locked up beyond the next 3 years.
Is it only the 2? I know for sure Suzuki and Caulfield.
Those
are the only ones.
Other than that, Gallagher's locked up to 27. Anderson's locked up to 27. And then Newhook's at 2.9 until 27. Other than that, like, it's only those three.
All right. Oh, and they got nothing else. Okay, I take it back. Sorry. I thought
So,
that they
like,
had more guys on really long commitments. I apologize immensely. I was very wrong.
and when you look at what's coming, like, Demidov's coming, Haig's coming.
Dude,
like,
it sounds like the trade was way closer than people realize for Chicago to move up and get Demidov.
Yeah.
Which makes no fucking sense if you're Columbus. I'm sorry. That would be such a dumb trade.
So, I mean, again, like, on a terrible Montreal Canadiens team, that kid bounced back after like a terrible rookie year where he was like rushed to the NHL, got hurt like 3 different times, plays all 82 this year, puts up 50 points on a terrible team, and they're only going to get better as these young prospects start coming through. I think you lock that guy up. You lock that guy up for 8 years at 7.6. You are loving life. So I totally get the gamble.
Apologize. Sorry.
But in terms of like other free agent guys, like, yeah, they didn't do anything.
No, fair enough. Okay. So we are moving on then from the Atlantic. You take your pick. Are we going Metro, Central, or Pacific?
Let's do Metro. Let's stay in the East.
Okay. I guess the biggest headline for Carolina is that they lost everyone.
I like a bunch of moves that they made, though.
Sure. But, like, can we address that, like, a lot of players went up? No?
Yeah.
Okay. But yes, let's talk about the moves they've made to bring people in. We can look past. We'll talk about the players that went elsewhere when we talk about their teams.
Yep. Well, first of all, they've got, in terms of like the prospects that they picked
up the Ghost Bear Pig. I hate him so much at the same time as I respect him so much. He ruined a great Gopher season.
Yeah,
that'll hurt. Like, single-handedly, too. I've never seen a defenseman dismantle an entire championship roster by himself for a D3 program. That aside from the fact that I was present for it and it seemed like the Gophers shot themselves in the foot throughout the entire game a year ago in Tampa, that one might have been the toughest one for me to watch. The Union one was just like, at least I was put out of my misery early. Like, there was no chance, but that one really stung when that was a locked win. I didn't think the Gophers were locked to beat Quinnipiac. They should have won for sure, but it wasn't a lock like it was against Union, and they got dismantled by Shane Goss's Bear.
Yeah, and they picked him with a deadline last year. They just re-signed him.
I know.
But I mean, the other big move they make in the back end, obviously they lose Pesci, but you bring in Sean Walker for $3.6 million for 5 years. That is a phenomenal signing. You've also got the young guys, Jackson Blake, Bradley Nadeau coming in next year, but they bring in Tyson Jost on a 1-year deal. That's fine, I think. I actually really like the William Carrier. I mean, 4 oh my God, they gave him 5 years. That might be a bit aggressive, but like $2 million, he gives you like really solid 2-way depth play. He was big. You know who I'm thinking about right now? The gold. What?
Who am I thinking about right now?
I have no idea.
As soon as you said 5 years, $2 million, that's basically the Freddie. That's basically the Freddie contract.
Yeah, well, Carrier also was a big part of a Stanley Cup winning team, so there you go. But like $2 million for him. He's going to be like a real nice bottom 6 addition for them. I liked Eric Robinson 1 year, $950K. He's been a solid depth player everywhere he's gone. Like, I like the depth that they addressed, and they didn't really dole out any crazy money, and they re-signed Slavin for less than 6.5 on a long-term deal.
So the AAV is insane on Slavin, but he is 30 Like 6 years. I don't think it's bad for a player like him. That's where people like fight back on it. But dude, under 6.5 for a guy like Jacob Slavin. What do they have on him?
Hey, yeah, and I mean the deal that he just was on was fucking
5.3?
7 years, 5.3 per. And I mean, I'm pretty sure historically he's not a guy that gets hurt. Yeah, I mean he's only not played 82 games. He's only missed. No, he has no big injury seasons either. And like dynamic skater again, like he does. Like those are the profile play. They don't really get.
Did
injured. They typically last forever.
Did they re-sign Anderson? Or is that his previous contract? I thought he was up this year. I don't know why.
No, he's had a 2-year last year.
Oh, okay.
And then Kochetkov they kept for
$2 million for next 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess they signed that one too last season. But like, actually 2 seasons.
That's pretty good money for a guy like him. Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, again, like the one thing I'm sure that they're like, why did we do that? Would be the Kotkaniemi thing, but whatever. And I mean, they've got Kuznetsov back there for 3.9. That's not going to kill you either. But yeah, then they re-up Martinuk, $3 million. Stahl already signed this past year. Like, I like a lot of the depth that they addressed. That's what I'm very curious to see. I have no idea.
I really thought Natchez for Ullmark with other subsequent pieces was like destined.
Well, yeah, and there's in the past couple of years, there's always been Natchez for DeBrusk plus something out there. So that's gonna be the big one. They still have to do Seth Jarvis. That's gonna be a nice little deal, probably for him, you'd imagine. And they have over 10 million. So I think they addressed like a big part of their lineup with guys that play exactly how Rod Brind'Amour wants them to play. And I love that Sean Walker signing. That is a phenomenal signing for 3.6 million, like A+.
Fair. All right. That's team number 1. Columbus is interesting.
Ugh. I mean, someone was gonna go out and give Sean Monahan money. I didn't think he was gonna get a 5 by 5.5.
No,
I mean,
if he stays healthy, it's a great deal. It's just, is he gonna stay healthy?
Yeah, exactly. That's gonna be the big question. I mean,
but him and Johnny Hockey. Like,
yeah.
But let's be real. Like, I know it sounds like we're just grabbing for stuff, but do you think that plays into them pursuing him, being like, we got to get Johnny going? Like, maybe this is the guy that can do it because they've got so much sunk cost into Johnny Gaudreau. Let's find a way to make that work. Like, if you get more out of Gaudreau, you're basically looking at it being a $15 million 2 players. And they're like, hey, we got the guy that we thought we got. Let's call it good.
I mean, I would have a hard time believing that had a ton to do with it, considering you probably could have thrown money at someone else that would have done that. I mean, like they could have gone and thrown money at Lindholm. Same thing. That they actually were a part of the best line in hockey that year.
Yeah, they would have had to give him basically a matching contract to Johnny.
And I mean, they did the money thing. They still have they have 19 million in space still. So if they're convinced that they're going to compete next year and that those signings last year on the back end and the trades that they made for the back end, like that wasn't a mistake and they're going to have a bounce back year, I would imagine that Lindholm would have been the exact player that they would have been targeting. Maybe they did. And Lindholm said, no, thanks. But like, if you want to reunite Johnny Hockey and get him going again, you go out and get Lindholm, who literally, when it was him, Lindholm and Tkachuk, that was the best line in hockey that year. So I would have think that probably would have made more sense to throw the bag at him. But yeah, I mean, I guess Monahan's the one big move they made.
No, right? Like Lindholm was going to Boston this entire time.
Yeah, well, he said as much too. He was like, the second Boston called, I was like, yeah, we're good, done deal. So who knows? Like they definitely could have been. I would imagine they probably were. I mean, I'd imagine there are several teams in on him. So, I mean, it's interesting. So, I don't really know if they can really expect much of a different outcome next year. If I'm being honest, like it's crazy. The 4 healthy defensemen they have right now. What?
Are they kind of like okay having one more year of maybe getting some draft capital? Or are they happy with their pool?
Well, the prospect pool is solid. They've made a bunch of good picks, but
Werenski, Severson, Provorov, Goodbranson. Ooh, Goodbranson. One more year of Provorov, you got to think that he's going to be traded.
Yeah, I would imagine because I mean, again, just looking at this roster, it's not going to go well. Like, it'll be hard for them to be worse than they were, strictly because, I mean, first of all, that was a flawed roster to begin with. Oh, my God, it happened again?
What?
Oh, you're frozen. It says I'm not, but I'm sure now my internet's about to crash. Oh, I'm back. It's telling me I'm not.
Well, so far you
keep
are
fading in and out, but whatever. I'll just keep. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be difficult for them to be worse than they were last year, even if they made 0 additions, because at one point, pretty much every single player on that roster was out injured, like including their entire defense. Like that certainly didn't help. It was always a flawed roster, though. I mean,
did they hire a coach yet?
I feel like I thought I saw news that they did.
I know who they were looking at originally, but I don't know that they made a hire. I forget where Cap Friendly shows that. I don't know if they did. I know McClellan was being rumored.
Yeah, did they make that officially?
I don't know if they did.
It is
Columbus Blue Jackets coach. Nah, it's still got Pascal Vincent listed.
That's crazy. All right. Well. All right. So there you go, I guess. I will.
The biggest question is going to be: are they going to let Fantilli play?
Yeah, I know, right? And like
now,
I think they have to sign him too. Yeah, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, Johnson needs to be signed.
I give up. I quit. Yeah, and I mean they're going to figure out. Holy hell, this is crazy.
And Sillinger and Marchenko. You're back now. You're good. Okay. Anything else we want to talk about on Columbus, or should we move on?
Yeah, I mean the only other thing is we're gonna be on Patrick Laine watch potentially at Minnesota.
Oh, he's going to the Wild. Didn't you hear?
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
All right, then we've got the New Jersey Devils. I mean, they brought in Brett Pesce, which is awesome, on a ridiculously good contract. Or do you not agree?
I'm gonna leave and try again. This is unbelievable.
He's coming back.
I'm losing my mind. It's so
all right, he'll be back. Cosgrove, I saved this one from earlier. What's up, dog? I don't know. Does anyone in the comments have winners, losers from free agency? Feel free to throw in your thoughts, and I'll make sure I bookmark some of them. Don't throw in the Atlantic because we've already moved past them, but throw in whatever you have. Z, you're back. We're live. New Jersey Devils. Do you agree with me that Brett Pesce's contract is delightful?
Yeah. How many years was it?
It goes through 29-30, so 6.
Yeah, 6 years. Yeah, it's fine.
5.5. I'll take
him. Yeah, he's just gonna stay healthy. And then Brendan Dillon, 3x4. Bolster defense. big defensive defenseman. Dylan can give you some of what they were lacking before. Again, like the big thing for them is like they just have to stay healthy. Like that's it. And we'll see what happens with Jacob Markstrom. Again, assuming full health, and actually, right, assuming full health, they should be significantly better. I actually sneaky like the Kovacevic pickup with the trade with Montreal. He looked really good in a short stint with Montreal this past year. He also fills it, like they clearly have a profile of player that they're targeting on the back end, like big, and then you have guys like Dylan, McDermott, Kovacevic who are like physical and tough. So
what if they're healthy? What's their top six? Like what's their
that's another
line? They got a lot of bodies on defense.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at 1, 2, 3.
Like Pesci, Dylan, Dollar, Hughes, Nemec, and Hamilton, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I forgot Hamilton was listed on IR.
Kovacevic. Like, there's 3 guys that aren't even playing.
Yeah, that's 3 that'll be in and out of the lineup. There's like a 6, 7. And I mean, again, we know there's going to be
for that swing spot. Yeah, for sure. That's fair. All right, that's about all we have for them then. Pretty straightforward. New York Islanders. I'm going to be honest, I didn't see anything that happened with them. I'm now looking and I already see that they got Anthony Duclair. That's fun. Good for them. Anything crazy that you saw go on with them?
Well, I mean, like other than the comical contracts they signed last year, but like the Duclair's a real nice piece of business with Duclair with the 4 by 3.5. I think that's an awesome deal. That's great. And again, like another forward that can play at the same speed as like a Matty Barzal. Like they've historically just wanted these big hulking. It feels like they have like 2 fourth lines that can like play solid defensively, but the offense is always be limited. So like the more forwards they can get, like Anthony Duclair, who are like high skill, high pace, I think the better. So they're not just like so vanilla. I was curious to see if they would do much else. I guess they don't have a ton of space to work with in the first place. You know, that's what happens when you sign guys like, I don't know, Scott Mayfield, Pierre Engvall to like 7-year deals. I guess that's kind of what happens. The space disappears pretty quick. And you'd imagine that Sorokin has another like bounce back. I mean, he looked rough at times this year. So, I mean, again, like considering he has at least half of a bounce back, he's going to be a solid goaltender. So, yeah, the only move there really Duclair, but still a nice piece of business, I think. It's crazy that he's 28 years old. This is like his 10th team.
Right. It is. It does seem like he's been in the league forever. I love that under dead cap buyout history, they have Rick DiPietro still listed, even though it's $0. So like for the next 5 years, it still just has $0, $0, $0, $0, $0.
Yeah, he's still around.
He can't ever leave. He can't.
What if that was the penalty for that contract? Like you don't have to pay him, but he does have to be around. He has to be in different places in the arena every game.
You have to have a buyout banner dedicated to him. All right, New York Rangers. What happened here?
Well, I guess I should start with you. How do you feel about the Riley Smith to New York Rangers trade?
I didn't see what the return is yet. I just saw that it happened.
It was not much.
I think at this point, they're okay just getting the cap space. So I'm not too worried about it. As long as they didn't take back a bad contract, I'm good.
Pittsburgh gets 2025 fifth and a 2027 second round pick.
Yep, no bodies. I'm good with it. Move on.
There you go. Other than that, They bring in Sam
kind of
Carrick
weird for them.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, they bring in Sam Carrick 3x1.
Penguins retained.
That's
Wasn't too much though, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, is Trouba going to be traded?
It's going to be interesting to watch.
Funny thing is, I'm pretty sure he just switched to a no trade clause from a no move. They could literally do him just like they did Barclay Goodrow.
They could.
He could be a San Jose Shark. San Jose is a borderline playoff team next year.
They just brought in Toffoli. Like,
I know, right? Oh, we'll get into them soon.
Yeah, I don't think they did much else, right?
Yep, Rangers, boring. Fugazi, losers. Moving on. The Philadelphia Flyers, aside from being afraid of Zeev Buium's agent, what did they do here? Let's see.
Not much. They re-upped Hathaway. They got Michkov signed. So that's awesome. And then I don't believe they did much else. Oh, yeah, they re-upped Eric Johnson 1x1. I don't think they did not
extend any options to Carter Hart. Good on them for not being scumbags.
Yeah, absolutely. Smell you later, bitch. I don't think they did anything.
In similar news, all the Blackhawks executives are getting reinstated. So
we didn't have to do that.
No, we'll move on. All right.
I have notes.
Let me see here. I'm trying to even remember. So Pittsburgh had the trade for Kevin Hayes, which I already told you I'm actually kind of a fan of. I don't have any issue with adding him. Did I miss anything else? They brought in Beauvillier, which for 1 year at that cap hit, no issue. Somewhat of a prove it. Brought in Matt Grzelcyk. If you're still with me, Z, tell me, what do you think about Matty Grzelcyk 1 year, 2.75? Are you with me?
Yep, for now.
Okay, good. Tell me, Grzelcyk, 2.75 1 year deal. How should I feel about it?
I think it's fine. I mean, big time reclamation project. A big reason he got held out of lineup so much in Boston was just like, hey, he couldn't stay healthy. And then both Bruce Cassidy and Jim Montgomery couldn't decide what they wanted their decor to look like. And when they decided to go full size, he was the odd man out. At his peak, when he was playing with McAvoy and he was healthy, like, that was the best D pair in the league. Like, when they were on the ice together, they had 75% of the goal share. Expected was like 20 or 60%. 20. Where the fuck did that come from? 60%. Like, he is a dynamic puck mover. Again, you're not going to get a ton of offense, but it's one of those players that, like, again, this all comes down to his health because that's been a major issue. But one of the better puck movers in terms of doing the heavy lifting from getting the puck into the offensive zone. He was literally the only player who could do that 2 years ago in the playoffs when they lost in the first round of the Panthers. He was legitimately the only defenseman who was successful in transitioning the puck out of the zone. So it's very much a Kyle Dubas, like, darling. That's like the exact type of player I would imagine that they were targeting. But he's going to have to stay healthy. That's been a big, big problem forever. And like, anytime he gets hit, you're like, oh no. And the big thing with him too, he's gotten hurt, I think, in like 3 different playoff series. Like, it always happens. So like, if he gets caught on the forecheck and he gets crushed, he's probably done. But 1 year, 2.75 for a top puck, like a super mobile puck mover, he's excellent. So I think 1 year deal. If it was like a 3 year, that'd be probably an issue. But I think this is more than fine.
I like that. Tristan Jarry hasn't been traded yet. That's probably never going to happen. That's a weird look for Kyle Dubas, unfortunately. Yeah,
I'll let you real quick wax poetic about the Pittsburgh, and I'm just gonna grab a couple beers from the fridge.
Wax poetic. There's nothing poetic about the Pittsburgh Penguins right now. It's we'll say that they're in a weird crossroads where there's an outside chance of making the playoffs. I'm not really holding my breath unless something drastically changes or they get more production from some of these guys, but it's not fun. It's the beginning of the end. I'm at the point where this is the last year on Sidney Crosby's current deal. I want him to be happy and have whatever he wants. I'm basically handing him a piece of paper that has a blank for him to fill out. Take as much or as little as you want. Decide if you want the team to be competitive. If he just wants buku bucks and wants to coast out, retire a Penguin, let him do it. If he wants to take a small deal so that the team can try and go for another cup, sweet. And if he says he wants to be traded to a contender because he wants to try and win another cup elsewhere, let him do it. He's earned whatever the hell he wants to do. That's really the extent of my thoughts on the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I like Bunting being part of the team. I think he was actually like a pretty good pickup, even though I figured it was just grabbing a Dubas disciple. But I don't know. I don't have anything crazy to say about the Penguins. I don't have much optimism this year, which most years I can talk myself into them being in like the 3-4 spot for the Metro. I'm just kind of resigned at this point. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm not overly optimistic, unfortunately. Which leads us to probably the funniest team of the past week. The Washington Capitals, dude. Right now, they are at negative 13 million in cap space. They have done some of the strangest trades, signings, whatever. And their draft day was pretty bizarre as well. Like, what the hell is happening with the Washington Capitals? And how many names are people going to have to learn for this team now? It's so funny.
I actually like a lot of what they did in free agency. It's just I don't know what's going to happen. I love Matt Waugh. First of all, that's a fucking great player.
Not a great deal though.
I think he's going to be. I think that's fine. Honestly, I like a lot of what he does.
Also, they don't even have him. Oh, they do have him on here now. You're telling me that a 29-year-old Matt Waugh getting just short of $6 million for, I believe, 6 or 7 seasons. 7 seasons. You think that's good?
Yep.
All right. I'll yield. I don't agree.
That's fine. Chychrun 1 year, didn't give him a crazy package for him like that. They bring in a guy like Duhaime, 2 years at less than $2 million. I think that's fine, especially with what they're going for. I love bringing in Mangiapane. Love that. And we'll see what
Mangiapane's kind of weird.
I think he's a fucking great player. Calgary sucked
He's a great player, but I feel like all that they should care about is Ovechkin chasing Gretzky's record. And I don't know that unless Pierre-Luc Dubois pans out, I don't see how they've done anything to nudge that needle at all. Who's playing with Ovechkin?
Me, at this point, who knows? But I think Dubois is going to be better. I don't think he is.
Well, he can't be worse.
Right. I don't know. Again, yeah, I like what they did in the back end. I hated their whole fucking defense core last year. I think they absolutely sucked. And I love have Charlie Lindgren and Logan Thompson in net for less than $2 million.
That is fun. That is very fun. No, I agree with that. And on paper, awesome. I agree. Let's take any intricacies of the game out of play. Let's take chemistry, lines, D pairings all out. They added talented players. I just don't really have a vision yet for how it all comes together and fills out a lineup and how they put together a product that's going to go out and be they're going to compete and they'll be a fringe playoff team, but like I don't see them being like a team that goes in and has a chance to win in the first round of the playoffs. Do you?
I mean, I don't know. Again, I still think that like getting Dubois gives them a better center than they had as long as he stays healthy. Because I mean, Backstrom is probably done. Again, I don't care what you're saying right now. I like Mangiapane a lot. I think he is a great player, especially with that profile of team. And I love what they did. God damn it. I love what they did on defense. So there you go.
Okay. Fair. I want to see it the way you see it. I'm not there yet. Maybe they'll convince me. All right. That wraps up the Metro, unless you had any final notes. Otherwise, we move on to either the Central or Pacific.
Let's just go Central. As long as my internet lets me. It's crazy bad now.
Yeah, that checks out per usual. We've got Chicago becoming the oldest team in the NHL. That's fun.
They love it. They love this. I mean, they got better. I don't know what Taylor Hall's injury status is, but I mean, like, Teuvo Teravainen's a good player. Tyler Bertuzzi is a really good player. The Patrick Maroon one,
highest paid forwards.
yeah, which, like, hey, there you go. That's fine. Like,
which is funny. It's funny.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about what they did was, like, they gave Connor Bedard more good NHL players to play hockey with. And if Taylor Hall's healthy at the start of the year, that's helpful too. Plus, you've got the incoming Frank Nazar, who looked really good when he came up. But I gotta tell you, I was floored when I saw them sign Alec Martinez and TJ Brody. TJ Brody was one of the worst defensemen in the National Hockey League last year. And they said, let's give him 2 years.
And it's so funny because a lot of like hockey media is like pushing like, oh, TJ Brody, he's shown that he's got the pedigree. Like
he did
not of late.
Years ago.
Not of late.
6 years ago. He was scratched in the playoffs again. Like, I mean, like, he had a historically bad year to the point where, like, even Toronto media felt bad criticizing him. Like,
which
you know
never
how bad
happens.
You have to play for that to happen?
That might be the first time that's ever happened.
So, okay. And they go out and then they bring in Laurent Brossoit. At least some help for Mrazek. Who's their starter? I don't fucking know at this point.
They're both paid too much.
So I think at the end of the day, when you look at it, you have to think like, hey, we have no intention of making the playoffs this year. What we did do was get marginally better and sign some players that can play with Connor Bedard.
Yeah, but are they pushing also, guys like Nazar out of the lineup? Like,
no.
Like,
Nazar's a center.
I'm okay. Where is he going to be a center? I thought they had plans for him to play wing.
It's going to have to be him.
Huh? Fair enough.
It's going to be one now. He is now.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, here's the thing now. If you want to put him with like guys like Teravainen and Bertuzzi too, like not both of them, but like one, if he's playing with them, like he doesn't necessarily need to be the primary play driver. Like Bertuzzi can drive offense, Teravainen can drive offense. Again, we'll see what happens with Taylor Hall here, but when he's healthy, he is a fantastic playmaker still. Not the 100-point pedigree everyone thought he might be, but he still drives pretty good offense too. So again, like that, at least if he's playing with some of those guys on his wings, he's not having to do as much as of the heavy lifting as like Bedard did last year once Taylor Hall went down.
Yeah,
I keep forgetting that Patrick Maroon signing was very funny. Though.
Maroon, Mikheyev, like it's so weird.
Shout out my boy Craig Smith.
I was just gonna say Craig Smith.
one of the hottest dudes in the league, one by one. Love that guy. Yep. And hopefully they give Lucas Reichel full 82 games here. It's time for him to pop off. He's shown a couple of games. He went all the way off. And
but yeah, that's another guy that, like, where is he going to slot in the lineup with, like, if Hall's healthy, then Bertuzzi, then Teravainen, like, Mikheyev, Nazar, like, these guys are getting pushed down. I don't know.
Forgot about the Mikheyev one, too.
Yeah.
An interesting player. I don't know how he keeps getting $4 million. Was that a trade?
Yeah.
It was, right? Was that the Beauvillier trade? Lafferty and Mikheyev. Oh no, just for a fourth. In 2027. That's a nice piece of business. You don't give a fuck about that pick.
Nope. All right. Well, there's your Chicago Blackhawks. Colorado Avalanche. First,
they're fucked.
Oh, go off. I love that.
Unless they made a move, I believe once they had a couple of guys get healthy, they had like. Did I miss something? Because at one point they had like 300,000 in space, and they had. They'd had like not enough players signed. Everyone's like, what the fuck are we about to do right now? But now it's showing on Cap Friendly they've got 5 sheets in space.
Yeah, but they're still 2 forwards short and 1 defenseman short.
Yes, like, what the fuck is going on? What are they up to these days?
And that's not including Gabriel Landeskog's $7 million.
Oh God, is he gonna play?
I don't know. And not including Nichushkin's 6, which he's not going to play. That just has to be done. It is very interesting. And contract year for Rantanen, and he's not going to make less. So, yeah, I guess it sounds like you think the Middlestat signing was a mistake.
It's crazy that they have 5 NHL defensemen listed on their active roster right now.
Yeah.
No one on IR or LTIR or the Nichushkin path is a defenseman. They have nothing like you know what they should do though? They should bring up my fucking boy, my absolute boy, Jack Ashan. Love him. St. Cloud State boy. They also have Middleton's brother. They can throw.
Gotta bring someone up. I gotta bring someone up.
No, like literally, they have to. Sean Barons. Let's see if he plays in the NHL this year. I mean, he might have to. Yeah, they have 5 defensemen roster right now. So
that's tough.
We'll see what happens. But like they, I feel like they might have like hit July 1st. And like, given the fact that the Stanley Cup ended 2 days or whatever, 3 or 4 days later, the NHL draft happened, and then like 37 hours later, free agency started. I feel like maybe like today hit, and they're like, "Oh my God, have you seen our fucking cap sheet lately? Wait, has it been like this the whole time?"
No, immediately they're like, "Wait, I thought we didn't have access to Cap Friendly anymore."
They're like, "Fuck, I haven't checked. I thought we lost access like a month ago." Like, oh my God, what did we do?
So yeah, Avalanche are in trouble. That's the theme here. I like it.
They also have 1 second-round pick next year, and then a 4th, 5th, or 6th. It's like, I mean,
that's tough.
They'll still be fine, though.
Dallas Stars, the final year of the Jamie Benn contract, which is scary that's coming off the books. What other
weird moves?
They got another year of Matt Duchene.
First of all, can we talk? It is outrageously funny that they signed Matt Dumba.
It is very funny.
The season after Pavelski retires.
And
they
as a
give
replacement for Ryan Suter.
It is poetry. I mean, imagine not being romantic about hockey, you know? I mean, this is unbelievable. Just the weird, like, they got significantly worse on the back end. Like, Dumba, Lyubushkin, they re-up Lundqvist for 1 year. They bring in Brendan Smith, and they have to re-up Harley still. They've got $4.6 million. Harley just went off for the first time this year. They have to give him a legit contract. And, I mean, the moves they make up front, they just re-up Steele, Duchesne, and that's it. They bring in DeSmith and net.
Up front, they're fine. Blue line, you're right. Like, the Dumba signing is very weird. I don't get it.
It's when you have limited space to re-up Thomas Harley, who's 22 years old.
You could argue Dumba and or Lyubushkin are like the contract that needs to be reviewed, right?
And Smith. I mean, even 1 million. Like, they had Hakanpää there. They could have just kept him for like 1.5.
Yeah.
So again, like the fact they've now have 4.7 or so left to re-up Harley, either someone's leaving or you're giving him like a 1-year bridge. Because, I mean, he just put up, I think he scored like 15 goals this year. 15 goals, 32 assists, 47 points in 79 games. Like, he was a top 4 D-man with them. Like, ideally, you probably would have like found a way to get him locked up long term. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, they may have to rely on a couple of the guys they have. Like, Liam Bicksaw, I'm curious to see if he gets his first NHL games this year. It's a giant of a defenseman. Probably would have been better off like having him like just play bottom pair minutes as he's projected to play in the NHL and bring in like one less.
Uh-oh. I think we lost him
again. Bushkin. Yeah, gone again. That's great.
Exit and re-enter. Cosgrove. Dumba had to wait over a month to get signed by the Coyotes last year, but Dallas had to get him for $3.75 on day 1. And that's by 2. Coyotes got him by 1. There we go. Zee'll be back soon enough. Urban, I said it last week. Stars are in trouble from here on. I think that's a stretch just given how ridiculous their prospect pool is, but not great. Z is back. Here we go. I think we got the point, though. The Central has been making some interesting decisions, with the exception of, and we'll skip past the Minnesota Wild. If you want to hear about the Wild, you need to go check out the latest episode of Fellowship of the Rink, episode 20, where Z is the spotlight. And again, subscribe to that podcast if you want to see the Riley Heidt interview next week. Please make it happen. Nashville Predators. Is this the winner of free agent day?
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. I mean, just bringing in Stamkos and Marchessault, hard to beat.
That first line is going to be, assuming that Stamkos plays center, that's a ridiculous first line of him, Forsberg, and Marchessault.
Yeah. The only thing that they did that I was like, why the fuck would you do that, is a Brady Shea 7x7.
That was a big – and so what I said even before I saw the dollars is if they bring in Pesce instead of Shea, they get a 10 out of 10 perfect grade.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I guess like left shot, right shot thing. Like, but either way, the fact that they could do that and they're still only negative 180,000 in space. Meanwhile, you've got, like you were saying before, the Capitals were negative 13 million.
The Avalanche, who just don't even have a full team.
The Avalanche, like, what do we do? I don't know. And like, it's funny too, because I mean, like Gus Nyquist making 3.185 put up 70 fucking points last year. Like that forward core. Oh, I forgot they locked up Novak for 3 more years. They signed him to an extension last year.
What a
He's
player.
been looking so good for them the whole time he's been in the NHL. He fucking rules. Yeah, no, they got significantly better, and a team that was a surprise play. Like they played last year's free agency so well, where they bring in a bunch of guys with legit pedigrees on not crazy dollars a term. They move a couple other guys out, and then they come in this year and they make the playoffs. Like, and then they go out and they significantly get better. Like, I mean, again, like Brady Shea 7x7 is crazy. He still makes you better right now. Like, and I forgot they re-upped Saros. They didn't trade him. Like, so they're scary.
Good luck trading Askarov now.
That forward core is terrifying.
That's fun. It's very fun.
That'd be fun to play against.
Yeah, no kidding. St. Louis Blues, like literally nothing to talk about. Let's see. There's something to talk about in Utah, which it feels so weird for the first time saying Utah, but they did things.
I mean, it's hard not to love what they did for the draft, where re-up Dursey, bring in Sergachev, and I might be gone again. Oh, no, I'm back.
You're here.
Marino, like you got a legit top 4 on defense, like legit.
You didn't even see Ian Cole.
Yeah, they did. I don't know. Are we allowed to talk about Ian Cole and not shitty like that? I mean, piece of shit forever, but like, you know, I don't really know.
Joel Quenneville's back. I guess we can talk about Ian Cole. So
anytime he did anything good in a hockey game, I'm like, am I gonna get carved if I say that?
It's crazy. Like, people have like stopped talking about Ian Cole. Like it was like a good like month that everyone hated him, and they hated the girl even more out in Carolina, and now it's like nothing ever happened. It's really weird.
Well, then the big thing was the other thing that couldn't get proven. But
oh yeah, true.
See, it's like it's crazy. Everyone just wipe this up.
No one talks about it. It is really
weird. So we'll move on from that. But he was good in Vancouver, other than like refusing to not score on his own net in the playoffs. That was unbelievable. That run was just.
By the way, hang on. Utah Hockey Club just had their first player inaugurated into the Hockey Hall of Fame. So we need to give them a little dap up. Shea Weber, 2 more years on their LTIR.
It's a really big year. They're off to I don't know how they did it. They haven't played a single game. They have a guy in the Hall of Fame. But anyways, but the guy that Russo mentioned a bunch of times that the Wild probably would be targeting, Kevin Stenlund, they bring him on a 2x2 as well. That's a fucking great signing. So first of all, you've got guys there like Clayton Keller. I mean, what more do we have to say about him? Lawson Krause has become more of the player that like they drafted, like they thought he would be. Again, not the pedigree of player that you thought you were getting. I think he went like 13 overall. But he plays a mean 2-way game and give you like 20 goals, 20 assists every year. And assuming if things don't go well, I think there's about 30 teams in the league that'll want him on their playoff roster. And again, Matthias Michelli stepped into the NHL. He's a top 10 passer in the league. Like he is fucking unbelievable. So you got to love what they've got going on up front. Like year 2 of Cooley,
Year two of Cooley, progression for Barrett Hayton. It's
if they sign him, I mean, I think they're and like this past year was his first season of showing like, all right, there's like flashes of I mean, he's never gonna be the guy they draft. Like that's not gonna happen. But he played a ton with I think it was Keller and Schmaltz, and they were solid. And again, just the fact that they've got Sergachev, Jersey, Marino, and Cole, and like as their top 4D.
I didn't realize Keller was only making 7.
Yeah, no, it's not bad at all. And when they sucked, they were talking about trading him. You know what you could get for him?
If they weren't talking about trading him. His dad was talking about trading him.
Him and Paul Marner were at the bar, just like ripping shots. He was like, "Dude, you should use Twitter. You should use." I used Darren Drager, but you should go on the Twitter route and see what goes on there. So they're going to be interesting again, but like they got, I mean, like the back end, my God, they did. I mean, it's the Central, man. I don't know. Like it's a crazy division now.
It is, and we haven't talked about the last team that, as far as I know, didn't really do much besides lose players. Winnipeg. Did I miss anything noteworthy?
I don't think so. They brought in Colin Miller, just again, kind of like a replacement for like a Brendan Dillon. Not really, I guess, but
not really, but yeah.
Kokkonen. Do you fucking respect his name? They bought out Nate Schmidt again.
Dude, I was a Kokkonen supporter. I liked him when he was here.
Yeah,
and yeah, absolutely. Poor Nate Schmidt. He'll find somewhere though.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they didn't do anything crazy. I mean, they've got, let's see, they got to re-up Cole Perfetti, who looked really good in spurts this year.
He's pissed off.
They don't really, apparently. I'm sure they don't really care about whether or not they re-up Gustafson up front. They got to re-up Stanley.
A bunch of guys on 1 years. Oh boy.
Yeah. And I mean, we're on Nick Euler's watch.
Oh man, please send him to a team that I like. Please.
Yeah. But yeah, no, nothing crazy for them.
Yep. All right. That ends the Central, and here we are to cruise through the Pacific and get the hell out of here. Anaheim, anything of note that I missed? This is a team that I did not see any news for.
No, nothing crazy. They lost some guys.
Besides, they're trying to trade Gibson, but they don't want to retain salary, so that's not happening.
They have to be thinking, what the fuck did we do that Killorn contract for?
Not great.
It's still insane to me.
They could retain a little bit and send them to Nashville. Stamkos will vouch.
In terms of the contracts on that team, though, I need to say, sneaky top 5 favorite, like NHL contract signing like history is Ross Johnston, who somehow successfully got the New York Islanders to give him 2 different 4-year deals, and all he can do is punch people in the face. Career high in points, 7. He somehow got the Islanders to sign him for 4 years in 2018, and then again in 2021. How the fuck did he do that? I have no idea, but it's incredible. And he's locked up this year, next year at a whopping $1.1 million. But I just love that somehow that's the guy who has successfully got 2 separate 4-year deals. He should play for the Minnesota Wild. He should. They should have traded for him.
Well, but they'll give him a 4-4, which is a problem in and of itself, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I am sneaky obsessed with that. I just love that.
That is fun. Let's see. Calgary, did they do anything fun? Oh, Anthony, a 1 year, 3.5.
Yep, they brought it. Yep, that's a nice little piece of business. They also brought back the Lamborghini. And then Jake Bean. Jake Bean.
Jake Bean.
So Columbus was
Bean.
We got rid of the one guy. But other than that, yeah, no, that business as usual. They have a ton of cap space though. And I believe the only guy they only have 2 guys they need to lock up.
Almost 22 mil. They got Wolf and they got a defenseman.
Yeah, the Okotuk kid. They acquired him through a trade. When was that? That was the Devils trade. This year.
They're going to be a weird team, but that's okay. Then
love the draft.
Their draft was good, even though they could not pull off bringing home Mr. Tijagila. But they had a good draft. Edmonton Oilers, same province. Brought in Jeff Skinner, 1-3. I was so convinced Jeff Skinner was going to Vegas, and I honestly might hate this more.
Yeah, well, they also brought in Victor Arvidsson. That's a nice piece of business as well. They re-up Janmark, they re-up Perry, re-up Connor Brown.
2x4.
The interesting thing with that is they don't have any space left, and they need to lock up Holloway, who's going to get a nice little raise, as well as Philip Broberg.
I don't know if they're keeping Broberg.
Well, this was the first year they gave him any look. And when he came in, he was better for them than their other options. But they also gave Stetcher a 2-year deal. They gave Josh Brown 3 years, $1 million. I don't know why. He's big and he fights people.
That's why.
About it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's better than the Darnell Nurse contract.
Oh, and they bought out Jack Campbell, of course.
That they did.
I mean, so realistically, I really like the Skinner and Arvidsson additions.
Oh, yeah.
The fact they got Connor Brown, I joked, I was like, I need to know what team watched the playoffs. I was like, let's give Connor Brown 5 years. But they bring him back on a 1-by-1. That's fine.
Yeah.
He was good for them in the playoffs, literally.
I'm surprised he took that.
Yeah, but again, it's just weird that they're negative $2.5 million in space. And I mean, if you want to give up on Broberg, that's fine. But Dylan Holloway, that's crazy.
And I'll be the first to raise my hand and say maybe I missed something. But do you think 3 by 3.5? We're moving on to the next one. Sorry, LA. Do you think 3 by 3.5 for Warren Foegele is the move?
I like it. I think he's shown that he can score.
He can, but it's so scattered.
Yeah, he played he is an excellent two-way guy, super mobile, and when the line, he drives the offense when he's on that. And I still think outside of the top 6 in Edmonton, you're kind of set up for failure. I still think that when he was in Carolina. The first 2 years of his career,
I liked him a lot.
He was awesome.
Yeah,
I think his rookie year, the year after his rookie year, he scored 20.
Sure, but where's he going to play in LA? He's not playing in the top 6.
Well, LA's fucking top 9 is significantly even just being on a third line in LA is way different than being in Edmonton. Looking at it now, I mean, his center might be Philip Deneau. That's already significantly better. The weird one was the trade for Chanel.
I mean, they didn't give much up, did they?
No, I don't think so. But they've got just under 11. They need to re-up Byfield. He's going to take a decent chunk from that. Kaliev, I don't know what they're going to do.
He's getting traded, dude. He has to be.
Yeah, I would think so. But they, again, the Darcy Kemper thing. I mean, it's crazy because it's wow.
Imagine this team didn't make the PLD trade. The original PLD trade. And imagine if Brock Faber didn't require playing in Minnesota. This
Right.
team would look so different.
Yeah. I mean, either way, I think
holy shit, they're still paying Richards for a long time. I did not realize
that's a long-term one. But I think you can have columns with like the like a 3.5. Actually, I mean, again, like the fact that the cap's going up as much as it is, I think 3.5 for 3 years for Fogle is more than fine. He also was excellent for them in the playoffs when like Connor and Leon were like, hey, like Leon's like, every bone in my body's broken.
But that was more my point, though, is like, did he get the contract just because of looking good in the playoffs? Because in the regular season, like, he was just way too off on for me. Like, when he was on, but he
still scored 20
a lot.
He still scored 20.
I'm not saying he's a bad player. I like the player. I just, like, I don't know. I feel like for a team like LA, that wasn't a priority for them to go out and get. But maybe off.
Oh, well, I guess that was his career high in goals. I had no idea. Yeah, I mean, I guess he had a career year. I also forgot he went to UNH. Hell yeah. UNH bounce back year this past year. Shout out Wildcats. No, I think the 3 by 3.5, I'd be happy with that. Like he kind of like they've got a bunch of guys. Like I would imagine he would be really fun playing with Byfield because they're fucking huge. They both fly up and down the ice. They both give you really solid two-way game. Yeah, no, I like it, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
Who knows? I could be wrong. The weird one was the move for
I'm not
Burroughs.
like adamant on it. It just like seemed, of all the things that I feel like LA needs to do, that didn't seem like the priority.
Yeah, I mean they also bring in Joel Edmondson, 4 years, $3.85 million. I think that's fine. There were a bunch of teams that really wanted it. He looked good for Toronto when he went there. He was like one of their better defensemen in that series against Boston too. So I think that's a fine enough deal. Like he's 31. You didn't give him more than 4 years. Like 4 years is like take him to age 35, basically. And they got him for under $4 million. So that's probably a nice piece of business too. Like you look at the left side, Gavrikov, Mikey Anderson, solid player. They locked him up last year too. Edmondson, Burroughs plays both sides. Actually, I guess Anderson or Edmondson does too. Flexibility there. So I don't mind it. They had a subtle but okay. Like they didn't burn all of their space, and I think they made a couple of additions that I liked. So again, it's just a Janot one. It's like, is he gonna be 3/4 of what he was in Nashville?
It still feels way better than what Tampa did.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Just like Dubois in Washington, like already feels slightly better than Dubois in LA. Like you didn't really pay the same acquisition cost, and it's a fresh start after you've already seen what they can do somewhere else. Maybe the previous location wasn't right. And for a 1-year thing, like, sure, see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. Then we move on to the San Jose Sharks, who have wasted no time adding pieces.
They're going to be fucking nasty.
They're going to be fun.
Let's go.
I don't know how you feel about this player, but I have been a big fan for a couple of years now, and I keep on wondering why teams just like aren't interested. Klim Kostin. I think he's a player. I think Edmonton was an idiot for not keeping him there. What they had with Janmark, Kostin, and RNH was awesome on that third line. I loved it. And they were like, nope, we're not about it. They had Tyler Toffoli, 4 years, $6 million per. He's basically just a guy that's going to go out there and score goals alongside either of their young stud centers, which I think is fun. Barclay Goodrow goes back to the team he started with, even though he hates that he's going back there. That's going to be weird, but good veteran presence, whatever you want to go with there. What else have they done?
Alex Wemberg. 2 years, $5 billion.
I mean, they've got money to spend, so who cares?
And the moves they made, like, I love them picking up Ty Dellandrea for free.
Yeah.
I love them picking up Jake Wallman for free.
Perfect.
I like them
paid to take him.
Yeah, literally acquiring things to take him.
Not a second. Yeah.
Carl Grunstrom, I think, is a real nice bottom six piece. That was a trade for Kyle Burrows. Full transparency, I think Kyle Burrows kind of stinks. So I like that a lot for them. The one thing that Kyle Burrows did was like fight a bunch of guys and knock Brandon Duhaime the fuck out. That was a scary knockout. Like, Duhaime was sleeping for a second there. Don't think you saw that one coming. They also, again, like people forget, Colin Graff, free agent out of college last year. You got Will Smith coming in. You're going to have fucking Celebrini coming in. I swear to God. I was shocked if he was back to college. But again, like you worry about their back end because it's like Vlasic, Wallman. Vlasic is still making $7 million for 2 more years.
Awesome for him.
Just fucking insane. Good for him. I can't, but look at their back end now. I still can't believe they didn't give Addison a QO. It's crazy. But, whatever. We'll see what happens with Couture once he gets healthy again. Vitek Vanacek, if he can be a decent enough goalie. Like, they're going to be, well, it would be borderline. Actually, it would be impossible if it would be worse. They're going to be a annoying team to play if nothing else.
Annoying. They're not going to threaten for the playoffs, but they're a team that's like, you're not going to look at and just like lick your chops and be like, oh yeah, we're going to go in and work them. Like, you're not going to enjoy it. Uh-oh. Z gone.
Oh my God.
Hey, there he is. Whoa, I just moved on to the next team and noticed a signing that I was not aware of. Holy crap. Z, did you have anything noteworthy we still wanted to talk about in San Jose? Because I just scrolled to the next team and my jaw dropped a little.
No, I'll just say that's going to be a team that, like, if you take them lightly, they're going to beat you because they're going to score goals now. We can 100%. Move on. Yeah. I hate everything Seattle did.
Well, I was very unaware that they signed Chandler Stevenson to a 7 by 6.25. What? Why? What am I missing here?
Go to the back. Go to their defense.
Oh dear Lord! They gave that much to Montour. Oh my God!
That they free.
All right, I think we just need to move on past Seattle. I can't even comprehend what Ron Francis did, and I'm a general Ron Francis supporter. That's both contracts concern me. Wow. All right, moving on to Vancouver Canucks. Time for you to make Isha feel good. Jake DeBrusk. Why is this a good signing?
Less than $6 million. Again, he's still 27 years old. When you put him with really, really good line mates, he's going to give you he's got 30, 35 goal upside. When they split up Bergeron, Marchand, Pastrnak, and they replaced Marchand with where they replaced Pastrnak with DeBrusk, he I think put up 15 goals in 17 games. But again, good two-way game. He is really good at PK as well. He flies. phenomenal, another phenomenal personality, like he is the best. But I think that's a great deal for a kid that's 27 years old. Like, he's giving you minimum 20, 25 goals, good two-way play. But the fact that he's going to be playing with either like Pettersson, Miller, he's going to be like, his wings are going to be like Besser, Garland. Like,
it's going to be fun.
This is going to, I would imagine that this works quite well, like, immediately. I love that the fact that the two centers that he might play with are guys that are putting up 80, 90, 100 points. Hopefully Pettersson figures it out.
Well, they picked up,
by the way,
scrub winger too by the name of Danton Heinen.
You shut your goddamn whore mouth when you talk about my son.
You know that I love Heinen as much as you do. You know this.
I know. Isn't it crazy that he signed one mold?
Uh-oh, I'm losing you.
Hey.
I think you're back.
I give up. I just give up. Whatever. Fuck me. This sucks. But Danton Heinen rules. Jake DeBrusk rules. Derek Forbert's can help them defensively. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. It's happening again.
Re-signing Teddy Bluger, awesome. Dakota Joshua, questionable contract, but great player. Hronik's the one contract that I kind of don't agree with, but whatever. I don't mind the Tyler Myers contract. Like, largely good bill of business for the team.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. And then the last one, did Vegas do any Vegasing? They picked up Holtz for nothing, which is very confusing to me.
Vinny Desharnais. That was Vancouver, though. Oh, my computer fucked up. That's why. Weird. Nothing I own works. That's crazy. Oh, yeah. Reese Johnson. Fucking idiot.
I think we've hit our expiration. I think your internet is deciding that we should probably wrap this.
By the way, Samsonov, they gave him a prove it contract, 1 year, less than $2 million. I think that's actually a great deal for them. I think that's great. But yeah, other than that, they didn't do much of anything.
They're gonna be fucking stacked, so it doesn't matter.
Who's gonna get fucking traded next?
I think we already decided it's Connolly.
Tomorrow. Holtz. Would they trade Holtz?
For way more. So yeah, we can't believe they gave him to us for that.
they just wanted to bring him in to trade him. I thought it'd be funny if we just traded this fucking asshole.
The Yzerman speech about Nedeljkovic, like, yeah, I don't know why they did that. That made zero sense to me.
All time. That was so good.
So good.
You'll have to ask them. I don't know. Right.
Oh man.
How fucking dumb are they?
Yeah. Oh, Kieran, what if I told you it's 3.75? Even funnier. Man, I think we did it. We got through all the teams, only had like 5 internet outages. Isha, you just tuned in. Good luck editing this if you try and throw it into audio form, because we lose Z 4 or 5 times. But we powered through. Got some good stuff in here. Learned a couple things. And there's a couple of teams that simply baffled us. I think we're good, Z. Wrap it. Anything else you want to say?
Nope. For the love of God, end it before I stop myself. See that?
Nice. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.